Are you listening? Damn.
And the ball is loose. Third and 4. He's a couple.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk. Oh man, I forgot to put the glasses, the shades. Let's redo this thing. Let's start over.
Wait, Sonny. Before we get started, Tony, you gotta get that booty to the bottom, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Bring that booty to the bottom.
Me and Q should be at the bottom this week. Me and Q.
You alone in that basement.
Well, there was a win, but some Browns fans probably not.
You're saying like this?
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, but it was only a 7-point win over Jacksonville, guys. Why are you guys excited?
So you're saying I should be the only one on top and just put 3 out, Tony? I'm just trying to understand your flow.
Listen, there's a lot to
Why are we? Hold on, Sonny. Why are we letting the dude at the bottom dictate the order of the screen here?
You know why? Because
he has no power.
Man, it's just what you guys are used to.
You have no power for the basement. There are no light switches in the basement, sir.
Listen, while we may be at the bottom of the rankings now, we
get
still
no
live at the
Wi-Fi
top
down
of your
there.
mind. So that's and that way, we're having fun.
You have to make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. I put a really fun. I thought it was funny, right? I don't know if Ace and Q saw it. It was the Ninja Turtles, and I forgot the rat's name. I forgot the guy's name.
Master Splinter.
Yeah.
Splinter. Thank you. And then it was like it was the Steelers, and then the small Ninja Turtles, right? In 2017, I think it said.
Yeah, 2017.
And then flipped it 2021, and you had the old man, and then Tony comes and flips it and said like. What was it, Tony?
I said it's an old adage. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the Bengals and Browns. And here we are. Steelers. We've lived a good long life.
Saw some Steelers mock drafts popping out this week. Someone was talking about I'm going to fix the Steelers.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, no, there's a lot of Malik Willis out there. Yeah.
I want to know before we start, Chad, this is for you. Put the order left through right, 1 through 4. Who are these quarterbacks? I just want to know if you guys know. Don't be Googling. I would say here the co-host here got them all right, like that. So
this one is not as hard as the receiver one you did was harder. This one,
to be fair, we spend a disproportionate amount of time on this position.
That is
arguing
true.
this position,
that is true.
Debating it.
And we have to make YouTube thumbnails, so maybe it's easier for us.
Do you think quarterback play will come up at all today when we're talking about each of these games or not?
Maybe just a little bit.
Okay, but let's just get right ahead. Let's get right ahead. That's the picture for you guys. Now you had time for in the chat to put it in. We're starting with the Bengals. The Bengals Thursday night. Obviously, Ace wasn't here. If you haven't, go check Ace's channel. He put a blog there. Very nice. I was checking your vlog too, Ace. Big game for the Bengals, right? We talk about, I know it's the Jaguars, but you coming from a big win to keep momentum, and the schedule set up nicely for you guys, right? The Jaguars not the greatest of team. It was a home. It's a Thursday. But what do you saw? You saw this one live. So obviously, what do you saw from this game?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like coming into this game, I still thought about like Trevor Lawrence, right? Because I kind of was paying attention a little bit last week to that Cardinals game, and it was closer than I really thought that it would be until kind of the end of the game where it started to become a little bit of a blowout. And going into this game, I just felt like, all right, this is the one that the Bengals can't lose, right? We had a letdown against the Chicago Bears, came out and had a bad loss against them. We can't do that again, especially on a short week. And then the news comes out that Jesse Bates is going to be out. T. Higgins is going to be out for the second straight game. And then people started to kind of get nervous. I think as far as like, what are we going to do without Bates there? It seemed like Trevor Lawrence was kind of finding his way in that Cardinals game. Are we going to have what it takes back there in the secondary to be able to stop them? But the other thing about it was I ran into a ton of people like before the game, and I don't know if this was just something that I missed, but everybody was like, they're gonna let Joe let it fly tonight. Like he's gonna go off. He's gonna pass for so many yards. And for me, I was just like, okay, like I know that they've kind of had Joe Burrow for the most part, you know, under 30 throws a game. That's kind of like the peak of what they've kind of let happen with him. And so going into this game, we're excited. We're like, okay, it's Jacksonville. You know, we have a pretty good chance. They have a new coach as well in Urban Meyer, who is going through some crazy stuff right now. But, you know, I was like, this can't be the game that we lose because all of the other teams in the division have what I thought was hard matchups this week. We'll get into that later. But, you know, this wasn't one that they could drop. But when you have Joe Burrow, it always gives you kind of a sense of faith, especially going into this game against Trevor Lawrence. And so obviously the game starts. They're trying to get it as loud as possible. We're banging on everything, like trying to be out there for the defense. And Jacksonville starts to establish a run, which is a shock to most Bengals fans because, you know, for the most part, we've been stout against the run this season, but they were able to set it up with a lot of read option. And ever since Lamar Jackson, the Bengals have really struggled with that read option. That's been one of the things that I'm looking forward to see what they do this season. They even struggled with it against my man Justin Fields as well. That's how he ended up getting the first down to seal that victory. And so when that started happening, people were looking around like, man, this is crazy. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm not gonna lie, in that first half, he was like cooking. It was like, you know, we were expecting to try to force some turnovers and stuff like that. It seemed like he had kind of not necessarily figured out the NFL, but you could tell like he was kind of coming. And, you know, the biggest play for me at the beginning of the first half was the Bengals defense stopping that Jaguars offense on 4th and 1 right before the half because the offense came out and really was all over the place. You know, Zach Taylor, just like fans had said, he tried to start airing it out early. The only issue that I had with it was they didn't establish the run whatsoever. And so it was kind of weird to me that you would run play action pass plays when you're not even running the ball. And it seemed like the Jaguars just weren't buying it. So I think the Jags played, you know, a hell of a game in the first half. There were some questionable calls. I don't get too involved on like calls and stuff like that, like because at the end of the day, you got to go out and win the game. And so then they get the ball in the second half, and they immediately come out on fire. And Joe Burrow is cooking. Joe Burrow had a decent first half. I think he was like 6 or 7 or something like that for 90 yards, 97 yards or something, but obviously no touchdowns. Evan McPherson missed a field goal. So they come out in the second half, and they're just firing on all cylinders. They immediately go to Chase because Chase had a deep pass, I believe, in the first half, but they called it back because I think it was like a push-off offensive pass interference, which was kind of wild. But he comes out in the second half, and he's just blowing it up. And Tyler Boyd was getting off in the first half, but the Bengals had no points. So they continued that, and Tyler Boyd continued to eat on this Jacksonville defense, and they started to attack the middle. And then CJ Uzoma just literally woke up and took over that game. It was insane. Like the more and more the game went on, the more and more you could tell that the Bengals were just coming to take this game from the Jaguars. And that's what Joe did. He came out extremely confident, was on fire. They even threw in Trenton Irwin in there on some plays. Jamar Chase had a nice play. And from then on, it was just all of the momentum was going to the Bengals. And the key in the second half was just slow the Jacksonville Jaguars down because James Robinson, who I had in fantasy last year, I never slept on James Robinson, but he had an amazing first half, and they had to concentrate on him in the second half. And they also had the wide receiver, Chenault. So Chenault is definitely a talented guy. And they seem to have some issues slowing him down with Trey Waynes. He got beat on a deep pass, which a lot of people felt like if you're going to call the Jamar Chase offensive pass interference, you probably could have called the push off on him. That's neither here nor there. But the one thing I will say is there's been a lot of people ragging on Eli Apple. Eli Apple, before that Trevor Lawrence stuff at the goal line happened, there was a play, I believe it was Chenault or a receiver, that was about to score a touchdown, and Eli Apple stopped him literally on the 1 yard line. And Eli Apple actually played decent in this game, which is crazy because I've been on record as saying Eli Apple is Eli Apple. We already know what Eli Apple is. But, you know, I don't like to just rag on guys when they just struggle and not give them credit when they play well. But I think that he also came to play in this game. And I think that offense got going. They finally started getting Mixon the ball. Obviously, he got hurt before the end of the game, but they were just clicking on all cylinders. And CJ Uzoma, it was just super electric. They come down to kick the game-winning field goal. And a lot of people felt like we could have scored a touchdown, but it was like, all right, let's just go down here. Let's just get the win. This is a big win at home and get ready for the Packers. And I think that that's what they did. And Joe Burrow probably had his best, I guess, passing performance of the season in that game. And so, everybody was going crazy. The whole game was crazy, bro. Like, we were like, the Bengals aren't going to do this to us. They're not going to fly all of these Bengals influencers and podcasters up here just to lose this game. And it was the Ring of Honor that was going on, the Bengals' first Ring of Honor. So we were just like, they can't drop this one, like, especially with everything that they put into this game. But they went out there, they took care of business. As you guys know, after the game, we went to the club and linked up with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. They happened to be in the section next to us, so it was crazy. Talked to them. They were excited. The entire wide receiver core was there, which I think that says that there's a lot of unity with this team, right? There's not like guys that have different ego. Like everybody all the way from Michael Thomas to Trenton Irwin was there. So that just let me know like this team, they're friends on the field and off the field, and they have more of a togetherness and cohesion there. Oh, man, yeah, I saw Tyler Boyd. I did the levels thing, and he went crazy. So it was dope. But, yeah, the Bengals went out and handled business. Would I have wanted them to handle it in a more, with it being the Jags? Yes. But, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the one thing I will say is he kind of showed me something in that game, and I think that they have something there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the most surprising thing of that story about you at the club in Cincinnati was didn't know Cincinnati had clubs. Didn't know y'all did that. Thought y'all just went to bed. Thought just went to bed out there.
Okay,
wait, hold on. I want to ask Ace this because you said there was a whole section. Like there was a section. I saw Goodberry was there. Zim was there. I mean, that was a whole section of you guys, the fans, and everything.
Yep. Yeah. So Joe Goodberry was sitting in front of me with his brother. Zim was sitting next to me. Malik Wright was next to me. So what they kind of did is they kind of had like 3 to 2 of us like sitting in front of each other, like directly in front. So Goodberry was in the row before me with his brother and Jake from Locked On. And then there was another row, I think, with Yaz and some other people. Yaz was actually supposed to sit in our row, but at that point, like, nobody cared. We were just mingling with each other. But for the most part, me and Zim and Malik kind of stayed there, and Joe and his brother stayed there with Jake. So it was dope to kind of, like, break down the game because Joe went crazy on that 2nd and 16 when they ran the ball with Mixon. Joe Goodberry's reaction to that was insane.
Okay.
By the way, Browns, it would be nice if y'all showed the same love to y'all people.
We gotta get Quincy out there for sure.
I have a couple super chats here that we have to go through. Love to see the Steelers duke it up again. It's gonna get real spooky for y'all on Halloween. Go Browns. Tony, it's a question for you specifically.
Listen, I don't know.
Year. You guys
Taylor Heineke out there putting up
this show.
Dubs again. Dubs out there. Oh my goodness. Never in doubt this week. Once again, Taylor Heineke, and again, he's a performer. He's an entertainer. Football is an entertainment sport. And what Taylor Heineke does is he goes out there and he provides the entertainment, late comeback, and that one, love to see it. Listen, we talked a lot about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been very, very good this year. Joe Burrow has 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You know what Tayller Heineke has this year?
No.
8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
So you're taking it. Tony.
I feel like Stephen A. Smith when Tim Tebow was going off for those 3-4 weeks that he went off for, and I'm just sitting across from prime Skip Bayless losing his mind. Like that's what I feel like right now.
The Fox 10 game. Shout out to you. Thank you for the nation. Any thoughts on the urban situation?
Ain't got nothing to do with this division, dog.
A lot of thoughts, but probably it's maybe not on YouTube.
Yeah, probably not.
This ain't the incognito mode version of AFC North talk. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah. Anyway,
hey, by the way, as a gambling man, first coach fired. I don't know what his odds are right now, but first coach fired. That
will he be fired or will he quit? Because it looked like Bobby Petrino, if I've ever seen Bobby Petrino, about to go down.
But isn't that what the guy from Bama did to the Miami Dolphins, right? He did
Yeah,
it
Nick
next
Saban.
season. Nick Saban.
Yeah,
He went
Nick
to the end of the
Saban
season.
did it. Bobby Petrino booked, baby. Bobby left in the middle of the season and
Yeah.
left some notes. He like, I can't stand it here. Your
Please.
quarterback is out here fighting dogs. Like, we can't
Yeah.
do it.
Mm,
And
no,
then
thank
took a
you.
job at like Louisville, like not even like a great
Yeah.
school. No offense to Louisville, but you know.
He was
you know.
Lamar's coach, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
I believe he was
Yeah,
Lamar. Wasn't
he
he
was.
Lamar's coach?
Lamar Jackson's
Yeah, and
coach.
Teddy
No,
Bridgewater.
He bounced around like 5 different times. He went to
He was
Louisville
also
like
Teddy
twice,
Bridgewater's
right?
coach.
Yeah, he went to Louisville. He was like in Arkansas. Remember, he had the one where he was on the motorcycle
The
helmet.
motorcycle thing is fantastic.
the
The motorcycle thing is fantastic.
Lying.
And the amount of lies that he tried to like compound to that was
If Urban Meyer won less big games, I'm telling you, from everything I know about Urban, he would be Bobby Petrino. It's just he's been too successful, so people kind of protect him. But yeah.
Hold on. The best part of the Urban Meyer story is I don't know if you guys heard that because it's all about this girl and the dancing and all that. But like there was the other part of the story where he was there, he was drunk, and he's rambling about how hard the NFL is, and he was saying how he misses the Rutgers on his schedule.
Baby, you
Urban,
Rutgers.
you started with the Texans, like you played the Texans in week 1, dog. Like you know,
It's
that's
hard
about
to
as close as
be.
we're gonna get to Rutgers, baby.
Here's what I'm saying though. It's hard to play Rutgers when you Rutgers, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Look in the mirror.
I don't know when you took the job.
Yeah.
And you took the job at Rutgers.
You took the Rutgers job. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you didn't take a good job. You looked at that job and said, "Yeah, this is worth coming out of retirement for." Why did you take the job at Rutgers? Because you thought they had a good recruiting class? No.
The thing is with when it comes to hiring these like Nick Sabans and these Urban Meyers, to me, I don't feel like that works for the most part in the NFL because the biggest part of college, right, is recruiting. Like you can recruit literally anybody. You're only as good as your pipeline. Like since everyone wants to go to Alabama, it's hard to beat those players. And you can't do that in the NFL. And these guys don't have the same, like a lot of these players make more than the coaches, right?
Yeah.
So like whatever he's done in college, that's kind of irrelevant to these NFL players, especially when you look at what Nick Saban did. I mean, amazing, probably the greatest college coach of all time, right? It was garbage in Miami. It was complete garbage. But then you do have the other situations like Pete Carroll, where he came in initially to the NFL. It didn't work out. He goes back to the college ranks, and then he comes back, and then he's successful with the Seattle Seahawks. So I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind because it's like, if you can't recruit, what are you going to do in the NFL with the league's most talented football players in the world, where you can't make a visit or give a kid some kind of improper endorsement to get them to come to your team?
Well, here's the biggest reason why Urban Meyer's not working in the NFL. He doesn't understand that he's going to lose football games. Remember, he came out with that quote in the preseason, couldn't stand how many losses that he had in the preseason. The preseason? Dog. And then he had the quote a couple weeks ago. Man, it feels like I'm playing Alabama every week. I remember somebody quote tweeted and said, imagine what he's going to feel like when he starts playing the good teams on his schedule. Like, it's just not going to work. He's not built for this. This is not a dude. And we all have people in our lives that can't handle losing on any level. That's Urban Meyer. He cannot take it. He cannot handle it. He's not at that point. He quit Florida because he lost too much at Florida, went to Ohio State, and couldn't win enough at Ohio State. Well, he did win a lot.
Well, he had the Ryan Day situation there. That's, I think, the Ryan Day.
The whole Ryan Day thing, eventually, it wasn't enough winning for him. He wasn't Alabama, so it wasn't satisfying enough for him. So he decided to retire, become an AD, and then inexplicably takes a job at Jacksonville.
Hey, listen,
and everybody thought that was going to be good.
You don't understand. The checks are good. And the check's clear.
Look,
I think he felt like Shaheed Khan would like basically give him the keys because he's just giving it to the wrong people with the last couple of coaches. So I think that's what it was, because there's no way, like a lot of people were like, well, why didn't the Bengals get Urban Meyer? I was like, Urban Meyer is not going to be able to tell Mike Brown like to build new facilities and do all of this stuff. Like Mike Brown's not doing that. And Shaheed Khan was like willing to invest in that stuff.
Here's the thing. What was the best case scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year? 8 wins? Maybe. That's a stretch. Maybe it was 6. I felt like if Jacksonville came out here and won 7 games, we'd be pretty impressed and say, hey, this Urban Meyer thing's in the right direction. If Urban Meyer only won 7 games this year, he's gonna quit. Like, he's miserable right now. And that's if they would have gotten the best case scenario. Imagine what he's gonna be like when they go. I don't even know if they're gonna win 4 football games. They might win 2. Like, so they're that bad. And in order for you to be successful at this in the NFL, it has to take you to be at some level of saneness when it comes to these losses. Because if you're a dude who's going to beat yourself up after losing a game in the preseason, you ain't going to make it 17 games. You ain't built for this.
Yep. So 2 things here, and I'll go with the next super chat. This is how you do rail show. You see super chats. If you want to derail it, this is you were successful on it. And second, and just to close Urban Meyer, and this is probably the worst division in the whole NFL right now, right? The Texans are there. Yeah. The Titans not playing good, and the Colts not playing particularly well either. Yeah. So anyway, Sammy Football says, can't wait for the Bengals to get humble.
We play the Lions in 2 weeks. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but did you see they changed their strategy up? They're going to play more angry now. So they can't.
How did they play versus Baltimore? How did they force Baltimore to skim that win off and then play the Bears and just look like Dookie? Like the Lions, man.
Yeah,
Lions.
As Bengals fan from Pittsburgh, the exchange with Tony are the best. Ace and Zim, you're my guys. Bengals offense was awful this week. D came up big. Okay. Thank you for the donation, Ira.
I guess
it's a different takeaway than I would have.
340 yards, all right.
AJNM, not an AFC North question, but how to prove a Dallas Cowboys fan that they're not America's team as they keep posting on Facebook and telling, you know what? For me, at least, for Cowboys fans are just annoying, so I just let them ramble, right? Whatever, dude. You ain't gonna win.
Yeah, Cowboys fans are
Cowboys fans. We must say though, when the Cowboys look like they could do something though, you look at the Monday Night Football ratings and it's America's team. They got the best.
The ratings and
But I mean,
there's a reason they lead Sports Center. It's an easier job when the Cowboys are decent.
We make fun of bandwagon fans a lot, but there are a ton of bandwagon fans out there. I mean, look at the ratings for Sunday Night Football. I believe this was the highest rated Sunday night game of all time, or maybe since 2012, something like that. And this is between the Bucs and Patriots. Okay, these are not 2 huge markets. Okay, but people just love to watch Tom Brady. People love to jump on the Tom Brady hype train because guess what? People want to watch winners, and Tom Brady, all he does is win.
The craziest thing is that the Bengals and Jags game for Thursday Night Football was like the highest ratings that they've had since 2018. But I think it was all about Burrow and Trevor Lawrence because it's like their first rematch of the 2020 championship in the NFL.
Wasn't
highest rated game since Darnold and Baker had that matchup?
No, I thought
in 2018.
That was the one.
I read that the Panthers-Texans game was the highest rated Thursday game the week before. Like Thursday football is just gaining steam this year, but maybe I'm mistaken on that one. When I saw some people watch, but I mean I'm guilty. I did watch Panthers Texans the Thursday night, but I was surprised.
I couldn't do that to myself.
I did.
I refused. I was like, who's playing? What quarterbacks? Davis Mills? Nah, I'm good.
Okay, so Devin Bishop here says Joe Burrow will lead the Bengals to beat A-Rod and the Packers Sunday.
I predicted this. I was like, look, Bengals Nation gonna get that dub over the Jaguars, and they're gonna talk themselves into, hey, we gonna beat the Packers. They didn't look that good against the Steelers, right? Oh, y'all gonna do it. I love it. I love y'all enthusiasm.
One thing I will say, I like the Packers injury report right now. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll say the rest for Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fox Den Gaming says, didn't mean to derail, but that was a great segment.
There you go.
Shout out to you.
Classic
and
derail.
For POTUS, Q, do you think there's a possibility that if Miles was giving a TJ Watt level role 3-4 on a defense, he will be an even better defensive player?
You want Miles to drop out of coverage
more?
more?
I was just thinking, you really want Miles dropping into coverage?
Nah, son.
Yeah, I guess he's a big dude, and he's got a he's a superior athlete.
He's very athletic. Yeah, I saw you. Did you see the picture of him without the sleeves? My goodness, those sleeves were hiding a lot. You said he got drug tested after that picture. I don't blame him. That does not look like a human being. And once we talk about the Browns game, there's a lot to talk about with Myles Garrett and how well he played and the defense played. But Miles Garrett, I think he's pretty good in his role right now. I think they're getting
okay.
a lot out of him right now.
Okay.
You know.
So you can take it. You can take it with the Bengals game.
Oh yeah, great game for Joe Burrow. I thought this is Joe Burrow's best game as a pro. When they needed him in big moments, he came through. Third and longs, he came through. The offense truly flowed through him. Defensively for the Bengals, look, this is the best argument for Jesse Bates. This is the best safety in the NFL. Whatever Bengal fans are saying, top 5, wherever you're placing him, this was the best argument for him because, that secondary did not look great without him out there. Now, I think they were missing Cheeto too. Like it wasn't just Jesse Bates. There were more players out there. But when it was just Von Bell out there covering ground, baby, you ain't want nothing to do with that. Okay. So the defense looked a little bit shaky there. You obviously, if you're the Bengals, you would want to close that game out more. Especially with just some of the head scratching decisions. Look, the Jaguars are just terrible. Also, just the 4th and 1 decision. You have a 6'6" quarterback, and you gonna line him up 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage to go forward a yard. Where did that ever make sense? You could, and then the Bengals, Zach Taylor turns around the next drive, gets a 3rd and 1, and he QB sneaks the thing like 2 times to get the touchdown. Like it really ain't hard. And when Urban Meyer is out here letting Zach Taylor look like a genius, and maybe it's time to not disrespect Zach Taylor like that, but it's still head scratching that they out here making these decisions out here. So the Jaguars, they're not a good team. They probably put together the best performance that they're going to have for quite some time here. And obviously it wasn't enough. If you follow me on Twitter, I predicted this whole thing from the jump. Everybody, Browns fans are tweeting Ace. Oh man, they're going to blow it. And Ace is there. Ha, ha, ha. And I was like, all y'all fans getting excited out here, foolish enough to trust the Jacksonville Jaguars with a 14-point lead.
Yeah.
Come on. On the road.
Especially after the missed touchdown, like you said, the 4th down call. Which, by the way, you can all agree, right?
I thought there was a chance.
Maybe of the year. Of all the listen, that's the only 4th down call worth talking about, right? Right? We can agree on that one.
The Steelers have a habit. The Steelers have a habit of being like, "Yo, it's 4th and 10. Let me throw the ball 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage."
Those are not worth talking about. The only 4th down worth talking about this week is that Trevor Lawrence 4th down. We can all agree on that.
No. The Jaguars definitely have issues there, but that doesn't take away from the Bengals being able to close it out there. And I do think it's important, look, whether it's against a good team or not a good team, to be able to close teams out at the end of games, right? We have seen teams on the edge teetering there between mediocrity to decency in that little order, not be able to pull out those games there at the end. The Bengals, they haven't been able to pull out those games in recent years at the end. They're starting to take a turn. If you look at how they played at the end of last year without Joe Burrow, and if you look at how they started off this year, 2 close victories, one at overtime, the other one at the end of regulation. So you have to hand it off to the Bengals. And, as much as we want to say, oh, it's only Jacksonville, oh, it's only this for the Bengals, let's be real. Who thought they were going to be 3-1 right now? I didn't. I don't even think Ace did, to be honest with you. I don't think Ace was predicted 3-1.
No, I did. Just not the right. Just not the. I had us losing to the Vikings and beating the Bears.
Well, that's probably how that should have happened. But it's a good thing for a young team to win at home and get used and get into that habit. So good on the Bengals. I thought this was overall, good enough team win. You were injured on defense, so that excuses some of the things that went down there. I'm wondering how the Bengals are going to continue to get pressure against some better offensive lines. Like that might be something that could come up later on in the year, because I don't know if Sam Hubbard and Trey Hopkins is going to be enough. Is it Hopkins or Hoskins?
Hendrickson.
Hopkins.
Jesus.
Are you talking about Henderson?
Hopkins is the offensive center. He's the center.
He's definitely not going to get pressure. He will cause pressure.
Trey Hendrickson or Henderson. Is it Hendrickson or Henderson?
Allow some.
Yeah. Is it Hendrickson or Henderson?
Hendrickson.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be enough, even though Trey Hendrickson's put up good numbers so far. Overall, the Bengals look like a decent team. They look like they're ready to make the jump. I don't know if they're going to be playoffs this year, but I think next year it will be a healthy prediction for them if they continue on this route.
And there's Devin Bishop here, says Bengals going to win the next 4 games. Packers, Lions, Ravens, Jets.
That's bold. You should put some money
Wow.
on that. You should put some money. You should put some money
Hey,
on
listen,
that, Devin.
if you
The
you
Lions,
parlay
Jets,
4 money lines in a row,
just
you
saying.
will.
You know Tony is a
You'll come
degenerate. I think he'll take that bet.
Oh, I'll take the other side of that. Absolutely, I'll take the other side of that.
Colt Linder, thank you for the donation, man. I don't understand why Browns don't use Odell in basic slant routes instead of always going deep outside. I think that will really help the Baker and Odell connection if they can just use him more in basic 6 yards.
You know what would help the Baker and Odell connection? If Baker Mayfield just gets the damn ball to him accurately. Honestly, like that was the issue on Sunday. Look, I'm not going to put a single ounce of that on Odell. We'll talk about it, but yeah, any of the issues in that game with the Baker and Odell connection, 100% Baker. Odell was open most of that game, especially in the fourth quarter. Baker was just out here. Whew, having one of those days, but we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about him later. Tony, take it to Bengals, man.
Yeah. I mean, I know we said a lot about this, so I'll keep it brief. I mean, like I thought this game was going to be close. I'm not surprised it was. Like I said on Thursday, look, losing Awuzie, losing Bates was going to mean that the Jaguars were going to have some chances on the field. Now, I am surprised. I'm not surprised the game was close. I am surprised at how it kind of played out. I thought that with Lawrence and all the kind of big throws down the field that this guy was trying, that against this Bengals secondary, he would that the Jaguars would let him loose a little more and let him try that stuff a little more. Now, it is worth noting here, though, DJ Chark got hurt, I believe, very early in this game. I think first drive of this game, Chark went out. Chark's their big play down the field guy. Although Chenault was good, and Laviska Chenault's a player who I really like coming out of Colorado, but he's kind of been up and down. This I thought was maybe his best performance. He's a fun player to watch. The thing about Joe Burrow, let's just talk about Joe Burrow for a second, because I do, I come away from Joe Burrow performances of like, this kid's good but not great. And this was a game where when I went back and rewatched it in prep for the show, the thing that stood out for me with Burrow is we talk about a player who, look, the arm strength for Joe Burrow is not that of a, Josh Allen or some of these better quarterbacks in the National Football League. And so what does that mean he has to do, right? Because it's not about how far you can throw when it comes to arm strength, right? It's about how quickly you can get it there and how much guys can close on the ball and the kind of windows that you can hit. The thing that always that's standing out to me about Joe Burrow is that phrase when we talk about quarterbacks, you don't go broke making a profit, right? Just take what the defense is giving you. If it's a little check down, whatever the money play is, just take the money. Right, just go. You talk about the biggest play that Joe Burrow had in this football game. It was a tight end screen, right? But again, I believe I read that he checked into that play, seeing the coverage that they were in, and that ended up being the biggest play. A lot of catch and run in this game, but Joe Burrow, I believe he's got the third or fourth highest completion percentage over expectation, and his completion percentage right now is 60 or 72%. On the year, I believe. So, I mean, the guy is incredible right now. And while these throws are, they're easier. But again, he's making the routine routinely. And I can think of a quarterback who's still playing right now, who made a career doing that and is thought of pretty highly. So, no knock on Joe Burrow for that. He's played very well.
Okay, let me say this real quick because I know we come from a half an hour on the Bengals. And we have some
Urban.
We spent about 15 on Urban. Let's be real. We got a little derail in there. No big deal.
I forgot. Okay, so
oh boy, by the way, I wish this was AFC South talk sometimes because I got Urban Meyer jokes, baby. I got them loaded. I got some Urban Meyer. And if this was NFC West talk, let the Cardinals lose 3 games. It's gonna be NFC West talk.
No. The Heineke Kingsbury takes are You got the Allen Robinson take. Robinson was actually not bad this week.
What did Allen Robinson do last? Was he good? Because they put up a bunch of
3 for 60, I think. 3 for 60.
Okay.
60 for Allen Robinson.
Now,
he gonna explode next week for 80.
He's getting outshined by my boy Darnell Mooney. I love Mooney.
Mooney's good. That connection.
That's not
elite. For the Bengals.
Anyway, we're gonna go an hour on the Bengals at this point.
Bengals
3 for 63. Don't slight my man right here.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I got
63, baby. You know what I mean? That's efficiency right there, baby. 20 yards per.
20 yards a catch. I
don't want to look at the targets.
I'll keep it brief on the Bengals. Bengals
3 targets?
Are finding ways to win, right? Think about they went in and beat the Vikings by a fumble at the end. They took that game and they beat them, right? The Bears won. Like Ace said, that was surprising, especially that was the first time Justin Fields touched the field, right? And we know what happened with him in Cleveland. But still, that was a game that they should have won, and then they won back to back. Now, the Steelers, we know what the Steelers are by this point. We'll talk about them later, and they go ahead on Thursday night. They took care of it. Now, I will say I was surprised. Tony said that he was expecting it to be this close. I wasn't, because first game of the year, Jacksonville played the Texans, and the Texans has never looked better, right? Like the Texans, I was like, did I got the Texans wrong? Because I was expecting more from Jacksonville and less from the Texans. In that game, the Texans looked good. Well, Thursday night at home, I was expecting basically the Bengals. I know they did not have Bates. I know they did not have Owuzie, but still, I was expecting more out of that defense. Trevor Lawrence looked the best game that he has looked. Obviously, the Jaguars had a decent game plan against this Bengals defense. But still, at the end of the day, I know everybody will going to talk about that questionable call and that fourth down. That I think it was a holding on the defense. It's a soft holding, but still, I mean, the rules are there. They made the call. Obviously, that would have been game. But the Bengals took advantage in the screen, as Tony said, the screen to the tight end. Big play, basically game over. Take it. So Bengals are doing, as Quincy said, they're winning, right? And that's the important thing. You winning, you came on a streak, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, right? And that's what you do. And then you pull that streak, and now you go to better teams. Look, this game's, to be fair, this game sets up well for the Bengals against the Green Bay. But we're not talking about them today. We'll talk about them on Thursday. But I think that's what you do. You win the games, and then you keep moving forward to the next opponent.
Yeah. The silliest thing we do is we do this thing after like 4 weeks. We go contender or pretender, right? There are no such thing as a Super Bowl contender after 4 weeks. The Super Bowl is not for another 20 weeks. Okay, so we got a little bit of time between now.
There's some pretenders.
Okay, there are bad teams, but I'm saying, like, when we talk about the good teams,
The Broncos.
When we talk about the teams at the top, right? We don't know the separation there, and we won't know that for a very, very long time.
You know what? Before I start taking super chat, Tony, talk to us about our sponsor, man.
Oh, absolutely. You know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below the waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween, because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from a bite-sized candy bar to a king-size candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word. Have you ever tried to trim your balls and it turned into a Freddy Krueger film? Well, luckily, Manscaped is here to save the day and make sure you're smelling fresh with their new refined body wash. Fellas, the ladies love the signature scent, and it will scare away those vampires. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They've made it easy for you to upgrade your grooming routine. It's a full moon out, and the werewolf in your pants is howling. It's time to tackle that problem with the Lawnmower 4.0. Their finely tuned pube products feature cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is easily the greatest ball trimmer on the planet. Oh, and did I mention this trimmer is waterproof as well? This trimmer is shower essential. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker, a total game changer to your men's hygiene arsenal. The Weed Whacker is a nose and ear hair trimmer that provides proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. And seal the deal with Manscaped liquid formulations. Their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner will make sure your pumpkins stay fresh. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0. The Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. If you're looking like Wolverine and haven't cut your nails recently, be sure to look at the Shears 2.0 Nail Kit. They have a bunch of other life-changing products on their website, so be sure to check it all out. And to get 20% off and free shipping, you can use our promo code AFC North Talk at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping. But you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk, all one word, at manscaped.com.
Okay, let's go real quick here and go through some super chats that we have.
Whew. Like
By the
being
way,
on top, like being on top.
you guys,
Oh y'all. Welcome back.
Let's make sure you guys hit that like button. 761 watching, only 173 likes. That ratio is off. Just like the screen placement. Sonny, let's get us back on top, baby. Let's
I'm sorry.
rotate this back up. There we go. Like we trying to spike the ball, push the clock up, start the clock. There we go. Push it. There we go.
James here says Cleveland's D-line need to have another heavy presence against Herbert, and Woods needs to play man coverage again.
Whoa, time out there for man coverage. Whoa. No man coverage. No. Some man coverage, half man. They did it with Greedy where they just said, hey, Greedy, we know you're not great in zone. We just gonna put you in man all day. That makes sense if you're gonna have Greedy out there. But you know, the stuff that was working out there was some half man, half zone. They were running the zone sides look really good because they're executing them at a higher level and they're not predictable. Again, zone is not a bad thing in the NFL.
And then we have from Soul Train, why does it seem like the AFC North QBs are the most criticized, even if their teams win? Because you follow AFC North content, so you gotta hear all the AFC.
I agree with Soul. Way too many negative things said about the quarterbacks. All four of them. They're all playing.
Just look at you got 2 first overall picks in the division. You have a former MVP and Ben. So yeah, and Ben is somebody who
2-time Super Bowl champion, future Hall of Famer. Let's get it right, okay? Let's get it right.
He like an Eli Manning wing. He like in the Eli Manning.
Yeah, Eli Manning. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Because
Ben gotta put you in because you're 1-2.
The greatest throw to San Antonio Holmes. I mean, listen, these are routine things.
It's the Eli Manning wing. You know what I mean? It's in the Hall of Fame. It's just it's in that wing of stuff that they put the kicker stuff in. You know what I mean?
For all of us.
By the way, guys, we're gonna have polls through the live stream. The first poll was for the Bengals, and I'm trying to put each one per each team. It's Cincinnati contender pretender with 627 votes, 60-40 pretenders. I don't know about that. I think there might be contenders, but
we'll find. Listen, I mean, here's the thing: they got the Packers this week. We're gonna get a quick answer to that question.
Yeah,
get roasted.
Okay. Colt Linder here says, nah, I agree. Baker was awful. Odell was open, but I'm just surprised they don't try and do that. Odell can take basic slant routes down the field.
But imagine going to Odell and being like, hey, buddy, I know you're getting open right now, but we need you to do less. You know what I mean? It's just you need the quarterback to play better. That's it. That's all he has to do. And it's not going to be end of the world because Baker had a bad game. They're going to get it together eventually, you would hope. But yeah, it's just you don't got to really change nothing. Baker got to be more accurate. That's it.
I looked up on Next Gen Stats. You can see this. You can see his route tree and all the passes he was targeted or caught. He did have a catch on a slant and he was targeted on another. So of the 8 passes that he was targeted on, 2 of them were slants.
Yeah, and if there's a route in the NFL you don't want to become real predictable with is a slant because those can turn into interceptions real quick.
Disagree. Love slants. Love them a lot. My quarterback loves them a lot.
I know your quarterback loves them a lot. Witty's Up the Crayon says, funny that Ace says Broncos are pretender, but the Jags are figuring it out. So same old Bengals.
I mean, I think with the Broncos, right? They played 3 bad teams. We had to figure out, I think, this week if they actually play a good team, are they actually good? Because they were 3-0. I don't think that's hard to say that they're a pretender. The Jags are figuring it out. I think, whenever you have a new head coach and a new quarterback, you have to figure it out. The Bengals had to do that with Zach Taylor. We had to do it with Joe Burrow. Every team has to figure it out. Kingsbury and Kyler. I mean, the list goes on. I don't think that's too far-fetched.
To be fair to the Super Chat, Broncos and Jaguars did play, and the Broncos stomped the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I think
Ace is equivalating those two when he says that. I think he's obviously the Broncos are a better team than the Jaguars. It's just that the Jaguars are in a point where nobody's actually believing in them. They're obviously bad and they're figuring themselves out. They don't have an identity at this point.
Listen, I trust Herbert. Herbert's turning this bad boy around.
Mr. Whisper says, how much
we're going to see Urban in that pool before we see him in the playoffs.
Don't look it again because it will spin
out. Who's in there with? If you had to guess,
only time you're going to see Urban Meyer in a playoff game in the NFL anytime soon is if he quits and takes a job on NFL on CBS at the desk. Like I don't think we're gonna see that man in the playoffs because he ain't staying there long.
Yeah.
Did Urban Meyer somehow? I know we're going to go on this. Did he somehow like double down on this? Like he's going to lose this Jags coaching job, no doubt about that. But like, didn't he also kind of make himself unhireable by USC right now with how badly things are going to end with Jacksonville?
I don't know.
USC ain't got no pride.
Yeah.
USC ain't got no pride.
I don't know
Hire
about that.
Cliff Kingsbury. Like
Here we go. Listen, you at some point. I don't know what week it's going to be, but at some point you are going to have to
In
come
2
around with the
weeks.
Kingsbury thing.
In 2 weeks.
Oh no. Look, this is how you know I mean it. Baker played awful, as bad as you could play. And I'm still out here on Cliff Kingsbury is garbage because I know it. I've watched this man coach too many football games to be fooled. I know he's garbage. Yeah, so USC ain't got no pride. They hired Steve Sarkisian. like look at the dudes they done hired over there. Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator. Remember they hired Lane Kiffin? You telling me this is a university that respects itself? They will
that's
hire
classic.
Urban Meyer in
Ahead
a
of their
heartbeat.
time. They were ahead of their time. Ahead of their time. Lane Kiffin
Ahead of
is a
their
great
time
college.
and
Ahead of their time.
500 in the Pac-12. Yes.
They were ahead of their time. If they had done that, if they hired Lane Kiffin right now, it's the right hire. But anyway, we are gonna.
Yeah, it would be the right hire right now. But no. Look. If Urban Meyer becomes available,
we have coming. It'll be Mondays and Wednesdays, college football talk.
Okay.
USC ain't gonna have no qualms.
Okay, so Mr. Whispers here. How much do you guys believe the loss of Jair, Alexander, and King increase the odds?
And King? King is
Hold
bad.
on, I didn't know King was out. I mean,
Yeah,
King
King-
has
Jair
been fine.
Alexander is probably a top 5 corner in the NFL. I mean, that's a major piece to lose there. But I guess we do have to answer this since it's a super chat. But I mean, obviously it's huge, right? Because you got Joe Burrow going against that secondary with their 2 starting corners out. So I think if any team lost their first 2 starting corners, right, they're gonna have some issues there potentially.
I think though, and we'll talk about more of this on Thursday. I think that they're just bad at evaluating corner talent. Kevin King is awful, terrible player, and I don't know why they brought him back. They did draft Eric Stokes, who's a guy I didn't really love a lot in college, but he's played pretty well. So losing Alexander hurts. Kevin King, I was praying that Kevin King would get over that concussion before the Steelers game. Would have loved to see Kevin King up
It would have changed the outcome.
Devontae.
Okay, let me. We have 3 super chats, so we can go to the Browns game real quick. Bengals get humbled this week, back to normalcy. Sorry.
We'll see.
And then we get
Bengal fans have actual reason to be like they praying on our downfall because people out here really praying.
Q probably. Q probably best page here. Need more from Ace and
T.
Oh,
That's
Tony.
Yeah.
Okay. Steelers fan love to say 2 Super Bowls with Ben, but in Ben's first Super Bowl, he went 9 for 21, buck 23, 2 interceptions.
Hold on, wait, Tony, what you gonna say about this?
Colt, I don't know. Can you look? I don't remember the score. Can you pull up the score real quick? Can you pull up the score of the game?
Oh, that's the take you gonna go, Tony. You better be real careful with what you say about this game right here. You said look up the score, right? Steelers won that game, right?
They won the game. They won the game.
Ben's performance is kind of irrelevant.
Did they have more games after that? Did his poor performance lead them to lose some games after that?
In the biggest game? In the biggest game?
I don't think
that was
don't
but I'm pretty sure that they put a banner up in Pittsburgh saying Lombardi Trophy. I'm pretty sure if you go down to Great Hall, I'm pretty sure that Lombardi Trophy is there. Even though Ben had a bad game. Yeah, I think that
don't pivot, baby. You locked in. You locked into that.
Yeah. Hey, I think you guys missed my earlier. Oh man, Captain.
Did we miss one? I mean, super chats have been coming in, and we've been
So, Captain OBJ, can you just write your question now? And even if it's not a super chat, I'll put it in. My bad. That was my bad. But let's go with the Browns. Q. Go with the Browns while he puts his question out there.
Yeah. So, look. We're going to spend enough time on this panel talking about how awful Baker Mayfield was on Sunday. He was terrible. Like, there is no way around it. There's no excuse. It's not his shoulder. Look, Baker, he puts a turd out every year. Like he put out 6 quarters of a turd last year, turned around, and he had the best run of his career. In 2020, I mean, that whole season you could describe as a turd, but he put out some special turds in the 2019 season. 2018, he laid a massive turd against Pittsburgh on the road, lost that game to Duck Hodges. Shout out to Duck Hodges. I know Tony will appreciate it.
It's not that bad. Duck's a good
quarterback. Lost to Duck Hodges. So, that was there. And it turned around and played much better at the end of the year. Yes, Baker Mayfield laid a turd. I know he laid a turd. It was awful. It was damn right comical at points. I mean, there was that one play where he ran for a first down, and Demetric Felton was there. He had tunnel vision. He just was in his head. And in that last throw to Odell, comedy. Like, damn, bro, you just were all the way in your head on that one. So, it's one of those games. I'm going to look at it like this. One, I've seen him have games like that and just be better after it. So I'm not really overly concerned. I don't think this is going to be a trend for him. 2, it's just kind of like, I don't know. Do you guys play pickup basketball? You ever play pickup basketball and you shoot 3 threes and you miss them all, you airball them, and then you get a couple of open layups and you smoke them both, and you just decide, you know what, baby, I'm just gonna play defense and set screens and not touch the ball, because like about at the third quarter, Baker Mayfield made that decision and said, I'm not throwing this ball unless it's absolutely 100% there. And when you're at that point, you're just not going to make any completion. So yeah, get that out the way. Offense was awful too. It wasn't just Baker Mayfield, by the way. Offensive line play wasn't great. I mean, the edges at least were terrible. Odell was cool. The tight ends were awful. A lot of drops. He said, Charger fan here. This is the super chat from Captain OBJ. Charger fan here. Looking forward to matches against the Browns and Ravens. I think the Chargers can win both, but not fully convinced because of our run defense. We'll see. I know people were telling me that Nick Chubb had a good run game this week. I think it was a little mediocre for him, like his standard. Like it would have been a good game for Kareem Hunt, but it's not really a good game for Nick Chubb. He's looked at a different level there. So no, I don't think he had a great game here. I don't think anybody on the offense really played well other than Kareem Hunt and Rashard Higgins. I think this is the second time I've said this. So no. Offense was awful. It was miserable to watch. I mean, when you scored a ball and your only scoring drive was a 20-play drive, you have another 20-play drive where you take up 7 minutes and you lose on a 4th and 6, so you can't even get any points off of it. It was just miserable football. Miserable execution. The execution on the red zone was awful from both passing and a running standpoint. Nothing was getting the damn ball in the end zone there. You accumulated 7 points here by pure luck. By pure luck to win this game. You got 2 field goals, long-ass field goals by Chase McLaughlin that I did not think he was going to make both of them. He made both of them.
Kickers now. Let's be honest. You love the kicker.
Yeah, Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker at the Great Lakes, baby. Yes. Chase McLaughlin. Let me go get his jersey because apparently, like the offense, I don't respect myself anymore. And then, you get a 2-point conversion purely because Sheldon Richardson decides he wants to play for the Browns still and just calls a timeout when they have no timeout.
Yes, that's horrible.
Hey, on an extra point attempt. So shout out to Sheldon Richardson for allowing us to make one successful play in the red zone territory in that game. But otherwise, the offense was awful. All right, you got that out the way. Defense, though, that was worth getting excited about. Now, this defense is worth getting excited about at this point. They were missing 3 starters in that game. Just casually said, hey, all right, we'll just give JOK more snaps. We'll just give Grant Delpit more snaps. Oh, yeah, we'll just have Greedy Williams play. So you have good depth here. Greedy Williams played excellent. Denzel Ward was a monster in this game. Some of them pass breakups were phenomenal. There was one on Thielen or Jefferson where he leaned back, tipped the ball out without making any contact. Yeah, Denzel Ward is back to being Denzel Ward. That's great. The secondary is great. Grant Delpit looks like 2018, even better than 2018 Grant Delpit at times. The explosiveness is there. His tackling is much better than it was in his 2019 tape. He looks great. He looks really athletic out there. He might end up taking more time from Ronnie Harrison just because of that. And then we know Myles Garrett, man. Myles Garrett is a monster. I know he had 4.5 sacks last week, and that was very impressive. But the half sack he got in this game was more impressive. The tape he put out in this game was more impressive than anything he did last week. And that says a lot. He was Euro stepping dudes. Like in Kirk Cousins, the game plan was clearly 1-2, throw the ball. right? Just 1-2 step throw. Like that's all the time he felt like he had. The one time they felt like he could get 3 seconds on a drop there, they put 3 offensive linemen on Myles Garrett, and it still ain't work. Myles busted through the whole thing there. No, Myles was a monster in this game, but another guy who's been a monster the last couple of games that starts to need his respect because I know people were doubting him before the season. Jadeveon Clowney, force in that at that other end position. He was in backfield all day, TFLs. I don't know if he got a sack, but he definitely
He has
contributed.
He has a brand. It's lots of pressures. Big dub.
Yeah, but them pressures, it ain't like them Big Ben pressures back in the day where you would pressure Ben and he would just throw it for a first down. Like these are effective pressures where they're just you got to get rid of the ball there. So Clowney's been excellent for the Browns early on. Scared the death out of me when he went down holding that hip. Came back later in the game, got like 2 pressures. All right, he's okay. He's fine. So there that is. The Maliks on the inside have been playing well, but JOK, whew. Every time he steps out there, every time he gets extended snaps, I just wonder how in the world did 32 teams look at this dude and talk themselves out of it. He's not just at every play. He's at every play before it happens. And even if he's late, he can get there before you can get 2 yards out of it. He is a special linebacker prospect. And if he continues to play like this, hell, if he improves from this play, he is going to be one of the best linebackers in football. He is that special on both run defense, pass protection, whatever you want to do with him. He's been special at. His size really ain't affecting him. Like it really is not affecting him. He's able to break from blocks from offensive tackles. Like he is a monster back there. Special athlete, special player. Yeah. Thank the NFL for letting that happen in the second round. Because you guys know on this show, if you watch this show, I have been loving JOK since before I even thought it was a possibility the Browns were drafted. I thought he should have been the 10th overall pick in this draft by the Broncos. He was not. He went to the Browns, and boy, he looks really good. So I'm happy for that. But yeah, this defense, I mean, the Browns offense, they played terrible, and that's why the Vikings defense might have looked good this week because the Browns just were in their own way. Baker misfiring by 40 feet multiple times, just inaccurate as all hell. The offensive line, Jedrick Wills is so hurt right now. He can't even get to his 3rd step on his pass protections. He has to sit at this point. Yeah, he can't play right now. He can't get to his 3rd step. You can't pass protect like that. So no, he shouldn't be out there anymore. Like the Vikings benefited from the Browns just deciding to play some of the worst football that they could have played on the offensive side of the ball. The Vikings offense really didn't play bad football. They were just getting stopped every time. Dalvin Cook had like 36 yards in this game. Something ridiculously low like this. It's because JOK was there every time they decided to run the ball. Sione Takitaki was there. Even when they did everything right, backside held up. They were disciplined. They were disciplined in their lanes. So, no, this defense played exceptionally well. And when Greg Newsome comes back, when Harrison comes back, and you can get real creative with who you can put out there and with the comfort that you're going to have with JOK since he's had to get extended snaps with the injuries to the linebackers, I'm excited. I'm excited about what the defense can do. We know the offense looked like absolute garbage, but we know that Browns offense is not bad. Whatever your opinion of is Baker Mayfield, if you think he's a game manager, if you think he's a franchise quarterback, you think that offense is good. So I know that offense is going to pick it up eventually, and they're going to play at the level that we expect. But if that defense can meet them there with the special teams being above average, you got something. But you just to be confident, I understand why Browns fans want to see it all in one game. But that defensive performance, man, we did not know about that defense coming into this season. We had a lot of questions after the first 2 weeks about it. But if that's the kind of stuff that they're going to put on tape against a legit good offense, hey, that's worth getting excited about. So, yeah, it's disappointing and as awful as the offense played, the defense played equally awesome on the other side of the ball. I mean, it was a task to win that game. Their back was against the wall, 4 points difference the whole game. Offense is giving them zero help, absolutely putrid help. And they came out there and won that game by themselves. So that defense deserves all the credit in the world, not just despite the offense, but to laud them for their great play.
Okay, so super chats, we have a couple here. Tanya says, Ace said Broncos were pretenders. Predicted the Broncos would beat the Ravens.
Because the Ravens pretty much proved that the Broncos were pretenders, but
yeah.
I wasn't the only person that bet. Now, I might have been the only person on the show. I'm not for sure, but Vegas favored the Broncos in that game. I wasn't the only person that picked the Broncos.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their mind with the Broncos this week. But hey, you know what? Hey, Ace was trying to get in the first place alone last week. That's what he was trying to do.
To me, I guess we'll get into it. Yeah, I'll just explain my logic later because I know everybody's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. So
Ian Whitaker says, as we get further away from week one, Tony's take that it was one of Tomlin's best game is looking better and better.
A lot of my takes here, they age like milk, but this is one. This is a fine wine at this point. That's right. The further away we get, an age 21 take.
So Box here says JOK is getting sleep on for defensive rookie of the year.
I don't know who else is competing with him. I really don't.
We have one over here in Baltimore. He playing well. Odafe to my surprise.
Your boy.
Boy.
Another one.
I'm checking it now.
Another one.
He gonna get his 6.5 sacks, and he's gonna be okay.
Odafe,
you know what I mean? They don't really do
defensive player of the week, not for the rookies of the week. I'm just saying. To my surprise, you guys know. To my surprise, because I have been eating crow on Odafe Owe. He's been playing really good. He had another strong game this week. I think I didn't miss any super chats. If we missed super chats, by the way, please add us. You don't have to do another super chat. Just add us because they're coming and the chat is moving fast and sometimes I miss it. So, and you can blame Sonny. Yes, you can.
I have it here. So I looked it up. Right now, the favorites for rookie of the year, number 1 is Patrick Surtain from Denver. Number 2 is Micah Parsons, who is he just an edge rusher now? I guess he's just an edge rusher now for Dallas.
Yeah, and he just plays for Dallas, so they're going to overrate him.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
He's good. He's very good. The other kid there, by the Osa, whatever his name is, also very good. But then JOK is number 3. So it's Surtain and Parsons are even odds, or not even odds, but they're the same odds, plus 450.
Yeah, I can tell you right now.
What about the offensive rookie of the year there? What are those odds looking like?
That's not important.
Offensive rookie of the year. Let's see. Mac Jones leading currently.
Mac Jones, baby.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones currently.
Mac Jones.
Jamar Chase second. Trey Lance third over Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
They'll pick a quarterback over literally
Mac Jones. Wow.
Anybody. If Mac Jones wins Rookie of the Year over a wide receiver after the Heisman committee refused to give him it over his own wide receiver the year previous, the NFL got a bias problem there.
Mac Jones, if Mac Jones, listen, Mac Jones is going to win the Patrick Queen Rookie of the Year award because Mac Jones is not good, right? All he does is check down. Literally, all he does is check down. But they're going to give it to him because his stats.
Would the rest of the quarterback class look like Justin Fields and everybody else?
Hold on. Zach Wilson had a good week this week. I don't know if you guys watched a lot of that Jets game. Thank you. Oh, by the way, and I'm going to talk about this. We talk about the Steelers, but thank you NFL for making me miss the entire first quarter of Packers and Steelers so that I could see overtime of Jets Titans. I really love to watch the entire overtime period.
Yeah, why did they do that?
Really
that was
excited.
So weird.
Thank you. Thank you for that one. I didn't want to see the Steelers anyway.
Ace, what is your thought about the Browns game?
I think defensively, I think that they played lights out. I mean, that was the one thing that I said going into this. Was the last game just like, outlier, or was it going to be what this Browns defense is? And I think defensively, they've really stepped up there. And I also talked about Takk McKinley. Not only do they have a guy and a monster in Myles Garrett, they have Jadeveon Clowney. Takk McKinley, I think, is another guy that you have to watch out for. So far, he's got 2 sacks on the season. So I thought that the defense came out amazing, especially Denzel Ward. To watch him go against those Viking receivers was a thing that was pretty amazing to watch, right? I really felt like the only person that was able to do some things was really Justin Jefferson, and that, for the most part, from what I saw, came against Troy Hill in the slot. And I really love what they did against Adam Thielen, because that is not an easy guy to hold to 30 yards and no touchdowns. So I think defensively they dominated. And I think that's the scary part about this team, because we all saw the players and all of that, and we wondered when they were going to start to pull that together. And they do it here in an important game where their offense needs them on the road. And I think that adds another dimension to the Browns that we haven't seen that could also help Baker out and bail him out in certain situations. Excuse me. The Browns' running game, the three-headed attack is amazing. I mean, you talk about Nick Chubb, you talk about Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, again, had crazy plays in this game. Nick Chubb, like Quincy said, he didn't have his best performance, but when they leaned on him and needed him, I think that they used him. And then they also have the Felton kid as well. I loved how they were kind of using two running backs at the same time with Chubb or Hunt and Felton on that in there. I thought that was pretty creative. Obviously, Baker didn't have the best game whatsoever. You're going to have those games, like Quincy said, with Baker. It's going to be some ups and downs. Hopefully, for the most part, you want them to be up. But he is going to have some games like this. The crazy thing is, I thought that the chemistry with him and OBJ, I talked about it last week. I thought that it was turning the page, right? And then they end up having this performance here where it just doesn't seem like obviously like guys that have practiced in the preseason together. And it's a weird situation because it's been the case, not by their fault or anything. 3 years, I think, in a row. Quincy would know better than me, but it seems like they never really get that chance to establish any kind of chemistry. And so that was kind of shocking because it seemed like last week it was better. But the other thing that I will bring up too is
the stadium bounds last week. That's
right.
He was
right.
doing
No,
that this
facts.
week. He tried
That's
to throw
facts.
that shit out of the ship that they call that stadium in Minnesota.
Yeah, Baker was not on point
He
in
threw some
this game.
souvenirs. He threw some souvenirs in this game. Like a lot of foul balls if you went to that
Right.
game for you to catch.
Right.
It was not good.
Nah, yeah, it was not his best performance whatsoever. He was definitely off the mark a lot during this game. But the other thing that stood out to me were the sacks that they allowed, because I was watching at certain points in the game, and Baker had some time, and then guys came off of the edge. I don't know if it was Everson Griffin or Daniil Hunter. One of those guys came off and got him for a sack. And for this to be the Browns offensive line, I just never would ever even picture them allowing, this many sacks in the season. Now, that's nothing against the Vikings. They do have some good defensive linemen. And obviously the Browns have had some injuries and some issues with guys in and out of that offensive line lineup. But that was the only other thing that I saw. But at the end of the day, the good teams, whether you went ugly or whether, you went comfortably,
For the W.
to be able to go out and get the W is all that matters, especially on the road, especially in an environment like Minnesota, especially against that team. And that's why I try to tell people, the Vikings aren't a bad team. They're a pretty good team. They have some talent. They just haven't been able to pull those games out. Cleveland came out and pulled it out against them. And I think at the end of the day, it's a W. You want to see where Baker goes next week. Obviously, this was a poor performance for him, but we'll have to see how he bounces back next week and what that plan is.
Yeah, so I will say this, Professor Chaos, I find it funny that Miles doesn't wear sleeves, and the NFL is like, we need to test him now.
Look like this without sleep. I know that it ain't focusing. That don't look normal for it. I was looking at Miles. I was trying to find Myles Garrett on the screen. I was like, who that big ass defensive tackle they got playing edge? Oh, it's Myles Garrett?
Yeah, I think somebody said earlier in the chat, like, if I had Myles Garrett physiques, I would not own a shirt. That would be me too. I would not own
You remember when like Marvel used to do like Punisher comics in the 90s, back when they used to make everybody like impossibly jacked?
That's
like the Ultimate Comics. Myles Garrett looks like he jumped out of an Ultimate comic. Like he looked like he just jumped out of the Luke Cage comic. Oh, there he is. It is
be Venom stunt double or something.
Okay, so for what I saw from this game, and like I said, I was following Q as well, his stream. If you're a Browns fan, you should definitely check Q's stream during the game. I was because that game started, the Vikings just moved the ball. I think it took 6 or 7 minutes, right? Like they were just chucking it yards, right? They were moving the ball really nicely. I was like, this might not be so good for Q today. And then Cleveland did the same way the other side, right? They moved the ball fairly well. I believe they also ended up with a touchdown in that first possession, and everybody stopped scoring after that. It was a it was one side defensive struggle, and then the other side was the offense helping the defense struggle themselves, right? And look, Baker has some soul searching to do. And to be fair, every quarterback does have games like this. There was guys that were wide open, as Q was saying. Like, I went back and watched that game. I was like, That dude was wide open and on an easy throw. Because sometimes wide open on a deep route, right, with pressure, the guy can be wide open, but you could overthrow, underthrow. That happens, especially if there's pressure coming to you. But that we're not talking about just go routes, deep throw. We're talking about 10 yards, 12 yards. The guy was open and Baker was not hitting it.
He did a Josh
One
Allen
thing
mixtape.
I'll ask, because Quincy will know the answer to this. I still don't think it was as bad as that Andy Dalton Thursday night football game against the Browns.
Oh, the one where he told everybody when he was mic'd up too, and Andy Dalton was like, "Hey guys, relax. It's only the first quarter." He went out there and threw like 2 interceptions in a row. Like that's the only thing Baker can say about this game. I was so off target that I literally was incapable of throwing an interception. Like that's the one saving performance. Like, yeah, at least when Baker misses, he misses so damn high now that you can't even pick that thing off. So good thing on him, right? Because when Kirk threw 2, the one other interception was at the end of the game, but Kirk threw an interception that ended up being one of the bigger things to make the difference there. But yeah, Baker, only thing he did good was tie that dude's shoe and not throw an interception in that game.
So the one thing I will say, and this is what I was trying to watch this game, and obviously last year the O-line for Cleveland was elite. I think this year they're still good, right? Probably still the best one in the AFC North, but it's not playing as good as last year. You can see Baker getting some pressures that last year he wasn't necessarily getting. We're not talking about Vikings team. They have like an all-time rushing, right? Pass rushing class, but they're okay. I'm wondering if the pressure now is getting to him, and that's why you see some of the forced throws, because now his internal clock is spinning a little bit quicker. Because I'm trying to justify some of those throws, and it was hard to watch some of those throws, but we'll see. It might be like a cute thing as a 1-game sample. Also, again, the O-line not necessarily opening holes for Chubb as well. He eclipsed 100 yards, so I'm not saying that he had like a trash game, but as Q also mentioned, over 20, I think he had like 21 carries. So you would think Chubb 20 plus carries, $150 is what you were hope Chubb is. So I think Cleveland, look, when you have a bad game, like Baltimore had one against the Lions, right? And you ended up winning the game, you take it, move on. So and that's what Cleveland at this point is. But Tony, what do you think about this game?
We have some super chats we got to get to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Abdul says Lamar leading our division in passing yards feels great. Also, those Ohio teams in the AFC are hilarious. LOL. Win the division before talking big. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see.
All right. Who's leading
see what
passing
happens.
touchdowns though? Oh, okay.
We'll see. No. Somebody added me in a tweet. And they're like, look at all these stats. Hold on, wait. No, somebody, a Bengal fan, added me in a tweet earlier this week with all these Joe Burrow stats where he's leading the North. I was like, you're not going to put in that he's tied for first in interceptions too? I mean, like, don't slight him. Don't slight my man.
Iomontes Fleming says, why Ben keeps playing hurt? It's time for him to go.
If Ben retired when he was playing hurt, he would have retired 15 years ago. I mean, this guy, the injury stuff is
Ben always plays hurt.
Yeah, the injuries are not. Hurt. Yeah,
well,
but yeah, the air quotes are absolutely needed. The air quotes are absolutely needed, and let's not act like the injuries are why Ben Roethlisberger's playing poorly.
Ben's the dude that goes to the gym, does like one bench press rep, gets up and just goes, think I pulled something, and then proceeds to finish his workout. Like that's just how Ben rolls. Like he don't get going until he gets hurt.
Yeah, no, Ben is the guy who, like, if he's in a room and attention is not drawn to him, he is going to do something to draw the attention to himself. He just, that's just who he's been his whole career.
Exigin, their Reaper says, hey, love the channel. So cute. Lamar has had a lot of success against the Browns. So is J.O.J. going to be Lamar's stopper?
That is a hell of a task to put on him. You would hope that he could do something, right? Like I'm not expecting him to shut down Lamar, but hey, maybe you get Lamar behind the sticks on a couple of drives there to force a punt every once in a while. That's really how you win against them.
Never put stopper behind somebody's name because ask Ruben Patterson how that worked out when they called him the Kobe stopper. And then Kobe just started
everybody
like
that they have
40
ever
balls.
called, every small forward they've ever called a LeBron stopper. Oh, yeah. Well, who was it? Jay Crawford? Or what was it? Yeah.
What was
We
the guy
gonna
that
put
blew in his
Jay
ear?
on him.
No, what was that guy's name?
Wait, Stevens.
Deshaun Stevenson? He wasn't
Yeah.
even LeBron stopper. He was just a LeBron troll.
Yeah, exactly. That was
who
the
was
way
it?
to get in his head.
Yeah, I remember they were calling some dude named Stanley on the Pistons. That was a LeBron stopper. All these guys, all these bums. They call it like
Even in the AFC North talk. Remember that Steelers corner that says something about Tom Brady?
No, it
And
wasn't a
Tom
corner. That was
Brady-
a safety. That was a safety. That was
Tom
Anthony
Brady
Smith.
make it.
He was a rookie.
at-
Was he a rookie or second year then? But he
Tom
was very
Brady-
young.
Yeah, Tom Brady took a touchdown and ran to him.
To his face.
And-
Right in his
yes.
face. By the way, shouldn't have been that taunt. I mean, we didn't get taunting. Listen, today, I mean, Tom Brady's thrown out of the freaking league.
That's
if he does
today.
that with
That's
taunting.
today. That's today.
you like that?
Yeah.
You like
Quincy,
that?
do you-
No,
Do you think it's making a mistake not running the ball more? 1st and 5 to TD and 3 minutes left in game. Baker throwing the ball.
Dude, you can't run the ball on demand right now. Like, that's part of the problem. When everybody knows the Browns are running the ball, last year they could get 6-7 yards push when everybody knew they were going. Now they're lucky to get 2-3 with Nick Chubb back there. Like, I get everybody wants to go, hey, Baker's playing bad, run the ball. The run game wasn't really there when it mattered the most, when they needed to score, it wasn't showing up. So, like, you can run this ball into the wall. Baker's just going to have to play better because he's just going to have to execute in the red zone in order to free some stuff up later on in the season. Because right now, especially when Baker is throwing the ball to Canada in Minnesota, yeah, they're just going to stack the box and just say, hey, we're not going to let Nick Chubb score. So, no, the run game has done what they could do in that game there. Baker's got to perform. You got to throw the ball. And most of the time, I'm okay with that because he's usually good in that role. It's just this week and last week, he ain't. So that needs to step it up. His red zone execution is not what it was last year or even in his rookie year. And he needs to get back to being what he's good at, which is those specific things, because that's how the Browns offense can play at a high level.
So Billy Joey here says, I think shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. I think it's amazing that the Ravens are doing this well when their season looks like it was over before it even started. No other team could do what they have done with the injuries they have had.
They got Lamar.
Abdul here says, Ace Justin Burrow over Lamar.
No, I wouldn't go that far, but I think the rankings that I had before the season is where I stand now. But the one interesting thing that someone did say, I don't know how much to really put into this, but someone actually went out and took like the total averages of, I guess, all 3 other quarterbacks.
The touchdown interception ratio.
And it was like 9 touchdowns to 10 touchdowns, something like 4 interceptions. I don't know what it was.
4 and 9. Yeah, I think Burrow has 9 and 4, and the rest of the division has
I don't
10
think
and
that
9.
he's better than Lamar Jackson right now. This is a guy that won MVP. They're 2 totally different quarterbacks. But watch the throne. That's what I will say. I will say watch the throne.
Eric Spice here says, Q, what do you think about the Stefanski decision to go on 4th the last 2 weeks? I like it on the 4th and 1 or 2, but I don't know about 4th and goal from the 4th.
I mean, we know Kevin Stefanski has balls when it comes to that. Like, he's going to do it. He trusts his offense. And last year, 4th and 4, that wasn't anything to this offense. You know what I mean? That was a Nick Chubb dive play if you really needed it, or a play action boot. Like, you could get 4 yards very easily with this offense. Last year, they're not executing right now. And I don't know if I want Kevin Stefanski to change his whole philosophy when I like that he's aggressive. They won a lot of games last year because he was aggressive. And you don't want to be like Mike Tomlin out here punting on 4th and 1, just getting used to being passive on 4th and 1.
We got to talk about that one.
Well, do you want to go for it either? I mean, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? Yeah. No, and I will say about Stefanski's 4th down. Yeah. He's going by the book. I mean, like, if you follow all the 4th down, I mean, there's a billion 4th down bots now, but the one I like is the one by Ben Baldwin. That shows the win percentage change from going. Stefanski is like the most by the book when you should go.
If the math says yes, he's gonna do it.
Right.
So I don't mind it. It's just the offense has to reward that faith. Right now they ain't been rewarding that faith. They've been awful on fourth down this year so far. That's
so
not
last super chat, and then Tony, you can take it over from here. Baker has been sailing passes ever since he got hurt and went out for just one play when he tackled that guy after a turnover a couple of weeks ago.
He tackled him on a what?
Pick.
So it ain't the shoulder, right? Like I know people are blaming when he hurt his shoulder, it just so happens to line up. No. Yeah. He was selling on dudes in the Texan game before that. Like it's him. It's him right now. It's him mentally. He's selling for whatever reason. It's not the shoulder. It's not even on his throwing arm. It's not the brace. So it's him. You know what I mean? It was the same way last year, right? Remember when Baker had that rough stretch of 2 games last year? Oh man, he played with a broken rib, and that's why he was so bad versus Pittsburgh, and that's why the Browns got blown out. Then the very next week, he throws for 5 touchdowns. We never hear about that broken rib again, right? So it's not that. He's fine if he's out there and playing. He's fine. Kevin Stefanski wouldn't have him out there if he wasn't okay enough to play. And he definitely wouldn't have him out there in the game plan that's saying, let's throw the ball 22 times in the first half if he wasn't okay. All reports from practice are that he looked like Baker Mayfield in practice. Just this game, he was bad, and you can't blame it on anything else but Baker Mayfield, and Baker knows that, and hopefully he comes out next week and plays well.
There's that gif of Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's like, well, I mean, that's I think how Browns fans kind of have to take this performance, right? Because on one hand, like this defense was absolutely. I talked last week about how Kirk Cousins is kind of that. He's the stepladder to the title shot. If you want to be a good defense, well, you got to be able to shut down Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins is, let's be honest, like he's good, but he's not on that next level. Kirk Cousins, by the way, just to talk about him real quick, getting to watch him for a full, we don't get to watch enough Kirk Cousins here because we're all watching AFC games. Getting to watch Kirk Cousins for a full 60 minutes of football is such an entertaining experience, because he will have 6 plays in a row where you're like, this guy is the worst. And then he'll just uncork a deep ball down the sideline to Jefferson on the money. I mean, you could have put a trash can right there. He would have put it right in. He's just
like that Joe Burrow throw, he just threw it right into the armpit.
He is unbelievable. I think defensively, not enough. I mean, you guys have talked all about, Garrett and Jay. Okay, so I won't rehash that. I do think we need to give some credit to the interior of that Browns defensive line, because they got some pressure as well. The Maliks in the middle, getting, I think, 9 pressures between the two of them. And Malik Jackson's been a good addition to that interior of that defensive line as well. So, I mean, like, there's a lot to take here. There's that saying, though. What is it? It's like once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is a pattern, 3 times is whatever. 3. We have 2 games now in a row of 2 things. We have 2 games in a row where this defense playing not just above the line. I mean, this defense is looking like they could be a top defense in the National League. We have 2 games of that. Okay, so it's we may be onto something here. But then you also offensively, you guys talk about how bad Baker was in this game, and Baker was awful. I mean, this was probably the worst Baker Mayfield performance I've seen since last year when he had that game against the Steelers. I mean, he was just outright bad. And people talk, look, there's a lot of bad decisions he made in this game. There was that weird play where he tried to run for a first down when he had Kareem Hunt wide open in the flat, wide open, and he's looking right at him, and he decides not to throw it. Now, I'm not going to get on Baker for making bad decisions, because Baker throughout his career has been a bad decision maker. I mean, this is a guy who did, he would have led the league in interceptions his rookie year, and I believe he did lead the league in interceptions with what's his face, his coach Kitchen.
Nah, that was Jameis. Jameis led the league with 30 that year.
Did. Jameis
that's right, Jameis.
That's right. Well, he had just as many interceptions as touchdowns, if I remember right. So, like, Baker's decision making will be in question at times, right? That has been Baker's history. I'm not going to get on Baker for like, hey, what's with the decision making? Like, okay, Baker Mayfield makes bad decisions at times, but the accuracy stuff, and this is not just a this week thing. You go back and watch the tape against Chicago, right? While Chicago wasn't an out and out terrible performance like this one, I mean, he was missing open dudes, and this is where, again, I know you say Baker's not hurt. I don't understand this. I mean, the accuracy issues that Baker Mayfield is having right now are, should be alarming, because we talk about, okay, quarterbacks have bad performances every once in a while, and that is true. But this wasn't like the Vikings were like changing things up defensively, and he didn't understand what he was looking at. No, he's having a hard time. And he just straight up was finding wide open dudes, and could not hit them. That is a weird thing. Now, it's only 2 games. Like as I said, 3 times. 3 times when you have a pattern. 3 times when we can say, okay, this is a real trend now. So we'll see what happens this week. But I think, if you're a Browns fan, you have a lot to be excited about defensively. Q touched on all of it. The secondary is finally coming alive. That the middle of that defense with JOK looks excellent. And then that, the whole front there, not just Clowney and Garrett, but even that interior of that defensive line, that is a fearsome foursome they have there. It's a lot to like, but that offense, and maybe Sonny, you hit on that offensive line maybe not being just as, maybe just taking a small step down, maybe having an effect on Baker. Something certainly to watch going forward. Like you guys are talking about, though, look, wins are wins at this point of the year. You're not making value judgments on like are the Browns a legit Super Bowl contender in week 4. They got to win. That's what they need right now. This team certainly offensively has some things to work on. All right, so we got a super chat here. I like how everyone says Lamar has the most passing yards, but one of the worst completion percentages and QB ratings. Stephen A. Smith said it 100% correct. He can't throw. Is that the last one? We have one more, right? Q.
Man, I don't know.
Do you think Baker is thinking about his contract in the back of his mind? Did Tony just call Baker Cousins 2.0? Did I do the Spiting Pointer Man meme? I mean, listen, on Sunday they were definitely spiting. They were definitely the spiting the pointy Spider-Man meme on Sunday.
Yeah, and
canceling each other out.
They were on. I mean, they were canceling. Kirk like, look, anything you can do, I can do worse. That's how each of them were saying.
Well, I mean, Kirk Cousins at least has an excuse. The defense was playing well for Cleveland.
Right.
I mean, Baker don't got that excuse. Like it was a worse. Yeah. I know Kirk Cousins put up the worst numbers because he threw 2 interceptions, but Baker's was a little bit more inexcusable there. And again, maybe because I've seen him just inexplicably just become inaccurate, like for no reason in the middle of a season, and then just get back accurate all of a sudden at the end. I just don't have the same level of concern that others do. But I don't think this is about his contract. I don't think this is about anything. This is just Baker being Baker. And Baker does this stuff sometimes where he just, I'm just going to play some really bad football in the middle of the year that's going to make everybody question whether I deserve anything. And then all of a sudden I'm going to play well, be like, y'all should have never doubted me when I was out there missing dudes by 30 yards. Like, it's just something that I'm just used to. He's done this literally every year of his career where you're like, oh man, Baker's inaccurate right now. What's going on? He's inconsistent with this right now. And then all of a sudden by the end of the year, you're like, okay, Baker was good. Like, it's just, it just is what it is with him. It just seems like it's going to be a thing with him where he's going to have a couple of these games every year. And I'm just glad he's doing it at the beginning of the season. And hopefully it is just at the beginning of the season. And it is limited to this. I just have confidence I know that's not how Baker's going to play for the rest of the year.
Baker.
By the way, I'm about to read this super chat. Baker lost me my fantasy week. Should have started Renfro.
But he said,
you got to stop playing in them big ass fantasy leagues, dog. Because
Hunter Renfro. No. Hunter Renfro is a touchdown machine this year, I believe. Hunter Renfro was out there.
That's where it started. Wait. Baker with me was I drafted him in 2019 of all seasons in fantasy.
I would never draft Baker Mayfield in the fantasy just because of the offense he's in. He's not going to score a ton of touchdowns, man. It's not the type of dude you want.
This was when you guys still
this was 2019 when everybody. I thought about drafting Baker.
I was all in.
That was rough.
Baker
Renfro, by the way,
and I think I also bet on him against the Steelers, and all you guys had to do was beat Doug Hodges, and he threw that pick at the end.
I'm telling you guys,
he played terrible in that one.
What are we talking about?
He played awful in that one, and I think
ESPN Plus.
Here's the weirdest thing with him too. He did that the year, right? 2018, where he played awful against the Steelers. The next week, I think they played Atlanta, who looked like they were making a playoff run or something. Or it was Atlanta or it was Carolina. Put on one of the best games he had all year that year. It's weird with him, man. I think sometimes he does kind of get into the narratives too much, and then he has one of those games where it starts bad and then it piles on, and then he gets frustrated with himself, and now he's pressing, and the game just needs to end for him, right? I think that's what the Minnesota won. I did not want that game to go to overtime because I was like, the game needs to end for Baker Mayfield before he throws 2 interceptions back to back, because it's starting to unravel real bad here. So the game just needed to end for him, and now the game's over, and hopefully, he'll be all right next week. But I've seen this before. I've been down this road with him before. So
Okay, so a couple of things here. So 76% of the chat, and that was I think 500 votes, Cleveland contenders, and to be expected. Okay, so now let's talk about the Ravens. This is my segment now.
Yes.
Ravens play. Look,
it's chain time. Oh, you got the chain. What am I talking about? You got chain time.
The chain is out. They 3-0 since he brought the chain back. I don't know what I did to myself when I said, Sonny, bring that chain out to reverse the curse.
Yeah.
Bring that chain.
Listen.
Look, Broncos come
out
here filling this up. And that was one thing that I forgot to mention about the Cleveland game. That was a road win. Road wins are not easy in the NFL. To be fair, road wins are hard. So Ravens go on the road. The pundits are saying, nah, Broncos, this Ravens team, they're good, but they're not as good to win. And Denver's a hard place to play because of the elevation. It's not a normal state, right? We hear all this. Ravens fans are like, they ain't going to win. Game starts. It was punt, but then Denver goes and scores a touchdown, right? So they jump up 7-0. And to be fair, our defense is balling. I know they score. They score because of a missed tackle on a blitz, and then Williams. I forgot the first name of the rookie running back.
Javonte. You
yes.
forgot about my boy.
Then he carries Marlon Humphreys for 20 yards, and Marlon Humphrey made fun of himself, by the way, on Twitter. Carries him for 20 yards, and then Stevens right now. He is the guy on the secondary that people are picking up. Third round rookie. They do a cross route. Stevens is playing wide, which in my view was like, why are you not passing each other? But anyway, fan wide open on the flat out touchdown, easy touchdown. Okay, Ravens come back, boom, score a touchdown quick. That was a Murray run touchdown. And again, after that, the defense clamped. The defense was just balling out, playing great defense. They were putting I tweeted this. It's something that the Ravens haven't done in a while. But now the Ravens are actually generating pressure with 5 or 4-man rush. I haven't seen that in a while since Terrell Suggs was here, right? We haven't seen generating pressure with 4 to 5-man rush. And people will say, hey, the Broncos were missing their 2 guards, which they were. But even when that was happening, I mean, this is not a team that was generating pressure. So obviously that helps the secondary. We have Anthony Averett there balling. He's been balling for the whole year, which is great because we obviously Marcus Peters is not coming at any given point. But Anthony Averett there balling. They had no answer. There was one big play that they left in the field, the Broncos. They had I forgot the first name, but Albert O, wide open. Luck overthrew him just a little bit, and the ball,
his last name. It's Alberto. That is correct.
Yeah, Albert it went through his hands, so that was a misplay by the Broncos. But look, again, this defense was just balling on the run side. Again, the first couple of drives, there was some yardage. Again, there was the one big run by Williams, but after that, they clamped down on the running side. And they couldn't do anything. Teddy Bridgewater looked frustrated. Teddy Bridgewater was getting hit. He looked like, obviously not like he looked in the first 3 weeks when he was the highest rated QBR quarterback in the league. The Ravens defense did an excellent game plan against this Broncos offense. Now, Broncos offense was missing some key receivers, but that's what you do. You are missing players. You exploit those, matches, and then you just take it to them. On offense, the Broncos were stacking, I don't know, it might have been 10. I don't know, 8, 7 in every single play, right? So the Ravens said, okay, you're going to do that. We're going to just throw it, right? And Lamar was pretty good. I think he also missed some throws. He definitely missed Duvernay on a wide open. He had the guy beat by, I don't know, 7 yards. But Lamar overthrew him. I had to say this too. Alejandro Villanueva goes out in the end of the third quarter, I believe it was. And now we have a practice squad left tackle. We know our right tackle is a guard playing right tackle. And we have a rotation at left guard because we cannot decide right now who is a decent left guard between Powers or the rookie Cleveland, right? And then the only constant right now is the center and the right guard. So we are dealing with that. The Denver Broncos defense it felt like we were playing the Ravens defense from last year. A lot of blitzes, blitz. They were blitzing Lamar. Basically, they had 8 people in the box. And if we were not running, they were just bringing the guys in, right? So Lamar was making sure the throws were, like I said, the receiver, something that the Greg Roman doesn't get enough credit, right? People will like criticize Greg Roman. Receivers are getting open in this offense now. Like this is not. It's been 4 games, and at least in 3 of these games, receivers have been getting open. I would say the one game that the receivers were not as open was against Kansas City, but the game plan was different. We just said this is a game we're going to run the ball. So Hollywood Brown had a hell of a game, and that deep pass he goes and. I don't know if he needed to jump, but definitely caught the ball, touchdown. For me, that was not his most impressive touchdown.
He could leave no doubt that that ball was going to be caught at the last.
For me, that was not even his best receiving or his best catch. There was one that Lamar was getting pressure, heavy pressure, and then Lamar throws it to Hollywood a little bit behind, and Hollywood did something that I haven't seen the Ravens receivers do in a while. He came back. The corner, I think, or safety was there waiting for the ball. He snatched it. He goes across, snatches the ball, and I think he got like 25 yards after that catch. Hollywood Brown obviously came with the vengeance. I think Hollywood Brown, by the way, leads the AFC North in yardage.
He does.
As we speak, even though he had that really terrible game. So another guy that played good, Sammy Watkins is playing consistently decent. Nothing spectacular, but a good. Definitely, you can see that. We talk about with Snead, how is the Snead will hurt the Ravens. Well, Sammy Watkins has filled that role well. He goes deep every now and then, but he's playing more the underneath layers. Mark Andrews, another great game. Mark Andrews. There was a touchdown. It should have been a touchdown on a play that I hate every time the Ravens run it, but it was that moving pocket to the right. Our backup left tackle did a personal foul, face max, which it was not as egregious as the Le'Veon Bell one, but whatever they call it. Mark Andrews wide open in the end zone. Lamar threw a dime, didn't count. But the guy that a lot of you AFC North fans would not know much about, but we and the flock know, and we have mentioned him before, James Prochet. Now we talk about Prochet and Duvernay. Duvernay should have a touchdown again. We talk about the overthrow. But Prochet, what I like about Prochet is Hollywood Brown, although he had a great game, in my opinion, one of the things that I don't like about Hollywood Brown is his finesse, right? He's a guy that catches the ball and he looks not to seek contact, right? And a lot of receivers do that in the NFL, but Hollywood, it just bothers me. Sammy Watkins does not seek contact a lot either. But James Prochet, there was twice that this guy had it and he's like, there's a corner there. James Prochet's not a big dude. He's like, there's a corner there. There was one, there was a 3rd and 8, and I think it was a 5-yard out. And he was like, nah, I'm going to get this. And he lowered his shoulder, gets 4 yards for first down. James Prochet is playing with the toughness that I had not seen a Ravens receiver play in a while, right? Since Steve Smith. Steve Smith was the last receiver that he had that greediness, that toughness, that like, I'm going to get this first down. Doesn't matter. Snead had a little bit of that, like nothing like Steve Smith. And I see it on Prochet, again, second-year player, but I want to see that more because right now this team, even like I said, even Hollywood Watkins, they don't have that in them. And with Bateman, we don't know. He hasn't played yet. But the receivers obviously playing well. The running game, it wasn't great. But again, Denver came with the game plan. So like, you guys are not running. You need to throw the ball. We had the secondary. Right? Everybody talk about this great secondary from Denver. That's all I heard. The best secondary in the whole NFL is what I was hearing before this game. Well, there was a lot of spaces open, and I think it was how this Ravens offense schemed this game. I think the Ravens play a pretty complete game. Again, running side, it wasn't. And for those of you that are criticizing the play at the end, forgetting the record, look, I would say this.
Unsportsmanlike. I mean, John Harbaugh doesn't care about player safety. I mean, listen,
Tony,
we expect that from the Ravens and their organization. Terrible organization. Sorry, you were talking?
I was not a fan of the play call, just personally, because of all the injuries we had. I could have been kneel it and I'm done with it. They ran a very, very, very safe play too, right? They ran power on the stretch and the quarterback. And I think they told Lamar, if anybody you see a shadow of them, you just slide. And then as soon as he went 4 or 5 yards, he slid. Now, you
don't need to justify it though. I mean, you don't need to like what the Broncos coach is saying. He's an absolute moron. Okay, if he really cared about player safety, when they're down 20 points with like 2 minutes to go on the clock and they're still trying to drive the football, I'm sorry, but if you really care about player safety, take a knee, buddy. Okay, but as long as you're playing, we're gonna play too.
And also, the Broncos coach is an absolute moron. Yeah, I want to give Vic Fangio the Big Sour Bitch Award because that's pretty much how he came off. He came off as a big sour bitch, just like the whole time. Oh man, I can't believe they written in the temper tantrum. You just made this funny for everybody else to laugh at you at, right? Like that was a whole dumb thing. And I'm over like unwritten rules in a bunch of sports like baseball and football, and then I'm just over it. The people getting upset about unwritten rules. Yeah, the Ravens ran the ball for 5 yards. You stunk. You couldn't stop them. Oh well. Live with it. It ain't the other team's job to make you look any degree of better on a game day. And if you want to throw the ball with 2 seconds left, knowing you down by 16 points, what you gonna do? Offside kick it if you score there? Like that's not safe. That's super not safe. So no, it ain't like the cowardice, right? Like just admit, say it with your chest, Vic Fangio. I'm mad because I thought I locked up that record and they still got it and I took the L. Don't sit here hide behind player safety like a big sour bitch. Yeah, so Vic Fangio gets the Big Sour Bitch Award for the NFL.
The last thing I will say about that is I would even get it if we were run there in victory formation, and then we sneak out and ran it, right? Like that would have been more of a douchey move. Lamar goes there in shotgun. He's telling you we ain't taking the knee because nobody takes the knee in shotgun, right? He is telling you that, and we ran it. And like I said, he came out petty. I agree with everything the guys has said here. If I know Denver's going through a streak of injuries, hey, Baltimore has had it a bunch of them. Again, we lost our left tackle during the game. And if he really, I agree with Tony, because if he really, this game was over, just take a knee and move on. We have a couple super chats here. Mike Gibson, you donated $5. There was no comment there. Please add the AFC North talk and we'll put it out there. A guy that we don't know here, Tony Serino, says, have we seen Stevens without his helmet on? Is he bonding this guy? So look, I will say this about Stevens.
Are we sure he's not Bond? Are we sure he's not?
People give Stevens a lot of crap. Stevens has actually played fairly well for a third-round pick that is trying to learn how to play safety. The problem is we're so thin right now because of all the injuries that he has been playing a lot. He has not been completely out of, like Bond was like yards behind people. Like he was just, Stevens has taken some bad angles, but he's there to make the play. I have a lot of confidence in the kid, actually. I've seen a lot of promise. He reminds me a lot of a guy that you guys know now, Anthony Averett. He's played like Anthony Averett played when he was in his first and second year. So I had confidence in Stevens. So, and then the other super chat that I have here is from Colt Linder says, they need to make Miles a Super Smash Bros. What does DLC mean? I don't know.
Downloadable content.
Oh,
like a downloadable character.
Gotcha.
Lisa, you are on mute.
Yeah, I don't know if the Nintendo Switch can handle that many polygons that they have to put on a Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett muscles look like they got a CGI budget. Like this look. I was looking at the picture. I was like, that does not look like an actual human being. Like that looks like Brown Incredible Hulk right there. Like that's just it's wild. The shape that he's in the shape, like he looks way bigger and stronger and more cut than he ever was, and he like came into the league as one of the biggest physical specimens to come in quite a while. So Myles Garrett, yeah, freak of nature, absolute freak of nature.
Do you remember in the draft? Do you remember the one downside people said about him? You remember what like all the reports were like weakness is like, well, he takes plays off. You know, he doesn't play hard.
Yeah, he doesn't hustle enough.
He's not a motor guy. Yeah. I wish Hey, Miles. Anytime you want to take some plays off, be my guest.
I remember Booger McFarland. If we want to go about freezing cold takes on Myles Garrett, Booger McFarland for 4 months went on talking about how Myles Garrett shouldn't be the number 1 overall pick, how he's not even the number 1 guy in his draft class. He thinks Derek Barnett's better because Derek Barnett got a better motor than Myles Garrett. All of that stuff. I mean, Derek Barnett is an okay player, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles would prefer to have Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, one of his legit pass rush moves is I'm just gonna throw the tackle into the quarterback and see if that can knock him down so I can get a sack. He has done that multiple times. So yeah, Myles Garrett, freaking nature.
Last thing I will say here is the Ravens right now are showing the league we have multiple ways to win in this game. Right? Again, Denver, regarded as one of the best secondaries in the league right now, with Simmons, PFS, Loveboy, Simmons, Surtain, Starnes, which great game. He had actually a really, really good game. Kareem Jackson and the others, right? They went and they said, nah, we still can beat you. If you're going to try to shut us the run, and again, we ran over 100 yards, but Ravens team usually runs easily over 100 yards. We're going to just beat you over the pass, and we can take you deep. And they show that they can win with a deep ball, intermediate ball. And I think right now the Ravens are either first or second in big play completions or big play, not completion, because I think it also goes with running games. Anyway, Ravens can show you they can hit the big play, they can hit the intermediate, they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. So make sure, I think the league right now is on notice, and the Ravens are getting it done.
Yeah, this was this was kind of a defensive struggle, right? I mean, we talk about Denver and their defense coming in, and Baltimore was able to put up big numbers, but this is one of those games where, like, boy, it just everything felt like a struggle for them at times, and certainly Denver on offense. I mean, we talk about it was a struggle; it was an absolute struggle for anything Teddy Bridgewater wanted to do out there. He checked out at halftime and said, "Nah, I'll see you guys next week." And what's crazy is Drew Lock, right? We talk a lot about Drew Lock and how bad Drew Lock is. Like, to give you a sense of how good the Ravens defense was in this game, like, Drew Lock did he look that much worse? Did he look any worse than Teddy Bridgewater was out there? Like, I don't know, not really. This was, by the way, Calais Campbell should get some credit. This was Calais Campbell.
He was a beast.
Monster. My goodness. I mean, age is just a number for some of these guys. And Calais Campbell is 35. And just lighting up.
Baltimore always does that. They take these dudes who should be done at like 34, 35, and they squeeze like 4 or 5 years out of them. No, they're the Emmett T. Miracle home because they just be working these old dudes. They got like 3 years out of Steve Smith. Nobody thought Steve Smith had any. Anquan Bolden, remember that? Anquan Bolden is so good at Baltimore. He out here retiring as a Raven. Like, what is in there? Yeah. They do something with them old dudes out there, man. Ed Reed played till he was like 40. Ray Lewis is out there with deer antler spray when he was 41. Like, it was they do something. Oh yeah, this out there. Then Ray Lewis at the end of the last year of Ray Lewis was just him screaming and spraying stuff on his arm. That was pretty much it.
He had the robotic arm. Remember,
Flacco said that some of Ray Lewis's speeches didn't even make sense.
No, that's what he was only there for. Do the entrance, get the crowd hype on third down, pump them up, and yell on the sidelines. You know what I mean? It was really T Sizzle that year. Yeah, Suggs was on there forever.
The one thing I want to get clarity on for I have a theory about the Ravens this year. Like, I think that they might just be like screwing with all of us and just trying to prove, like, we can win games just by, like, playing the wrong guys. These injuries. Are we sure these injuries are real, or they're just like trying to prove? They're just not trying to prove, like, look, we can move with any left tackle.
Hey, man, about to come back.
Literally any left tackle out there will be fine. Okay, but what they're doing at running back right now. What the Ravens are doing at running back right now has to be a joke. Like, John Harbaugh is like playing a long con on us. The idea that John Harbaugh has decided, I have this kid, Tyson Williams, second-year guy, young guy. And you know what? We don't need Tyson Williams. We'd rather run with Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, and I'll give credit. Latavius Murray actually has not been bad, but like there's no chance that a coach as good as John Harbaugh is looking at Tyson Williams and going like, nah, I'd rather get Le'Veon and Devonta Freeman out there. I'd rather give them major reps in a road game in Denver.
Tony, the rumor is because pass blocking and Tyson Williams has not been good. And also he has fumbled a couple of times.
Okay.
So those are the two. Because he's the better runner of all four. He's the better runner of all four. Even Murray, he runs better.
Yeah. And that is the thing about playing running back is we just think about like, okay, how's your contact balance? How's your vision, right? How good are you, how good are you at breaking tackles? And then we just think like that's running back play. But, there's a lot more that goes into it. It doesn't surprise me to hear that there are other issues with him because, yeah, it is funny. I mean, the running game really never, it certainly didn't look like a traditional Baltimore Ravens style of, ground and pound type of thing. But Lamar Jackson was fantastic in this game. And by the way, we need to talk about the wide receiver run crowd. There's a lot of Ravens fans who've been telling us for years, that you just give Lamar a true number one receiver and he will be good. And we talked a lot this offseason about, improving that wide receiver supporting cast. Now it's all kind of falling apart with Bateman not playing, and Sammy Watkins maybe not living up. But their best new wide receiver is whoever's wearing number 5, because that doesn't look like the Hollywood Brown that I know, the Hollywood Brown that we've been mocking on this podcast relentlessly. That's not the kid wearing number 5. This kid who's wearing number 5 this year. Look, it was fun when he did it against Oakland in week 1. I was like, all right, well, he always plays well. And he looked good in week 2.
Came back last week.
You guys know how I feel about drops. It's a cyclical thing. I'm not going to count on drops to keep happening. What happened with Hollywood Brown? Look, he had a terrible game with drops. But let's call a spade here. That dude got wide open and should have had 3, not 1, not 2, 3 touchdowns last week. And then he followed that up with another fantastic game. The route he ran, I wish I had the all-22 today to break it down because they showed it during the game. The route that he ran, it was a cover. It was a 2 safety look. He's running a vertical seam, and he runs the route so perfectly because he's got Simmons there. He gets Simmons to get turned around, and then he goes towards Jackson. Jackson has absolutely no chance. It's those little things with Hollywood's game. This is a team that is so hard to beat horizontally. We saw what they did to Kansas City, right? If you do not have the edges and the speed at linebacker to hold this team on the edges, they're going to beat you horizontally. But now, I mean, if this is the Hollywood Brown, and again, I talked about it, like once is happenstance, it's a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. Well, this is 4 times now for Hollywood Brown because I'll throw out the drops last week. That was a game where he got open deep. Yeah. If this is going to be the new Hollywood Brown, he's going to be consistently beating teams over the top and Jackson can hit him, well, then all of a sudden we may have unlocked something here in Baltimore where this offense is going to go to another level. I thought that to me was, as everything we talk about spectacular defense and all that, but I think this Hollywood Lamar thing needs to be talked about more because this is something that is, if this continues throughout the year, it is really going to make this Ravens team impossible to defend.
Yep. Ace.
Yeah, for me, I think, Tony brought up some great things there. I think credit has to be given to Greg Roman. People were calling for his head last year. And the way that he's kind of transitioned this Ravens team that's normally known for running into being more of a passing team and at least more balanced in that fashion, I think has been something that's major for this team. We talked about, I think I said before going into the season, I actually like some of the things that they did at the wide receiver position in this offseason, bringing in a Sammy Watkins who had his fair share of catches on Pat Surtain. I think that was something that they weren't expecting in that game. And then, as you said, Hollywood Brown has completely taken his game, I think, to the next level. And we also talked about, I heard about James Prochet in the offseason. That was a guy that I was monitoring as well because I saw tons of Ravens fans like Sonny and guys out there talking about James Prochet. So to see him finally have kind of his coming out party, I think adds another dimension. And then you got to think about it. Bateman's coming. And then you got my man Mandrews, who's currently right now, I think he's in 3rd place as far as receiving yards for tight ends. He's starting to come along after having a slow game. And so I think you're now seeing this Ravens offense not just be one-dimensional as we've seen them before, and now they're starting to be balanced. Now they're starting to gain their confidence, and they do it against a great Denver Broncos team, that secondary. I talked about it before the game. I thought with them going into a situation like Mile High conditions and things like that this was going to be a tough game for them. And the Ravens just won't die. It's just that simple. Like, they will not die. They will not give up. And when you have Lamar Jackson playing out of his mind, like Quincy predicted that he would, that is essentially all you need. Now, obviously, you've got other guys, and I don't want to take away from the offensive line that they've put together with those guys playing their hearts out. I didn't even realize Andre Smith was on the Ravens. That was crazy seeing him in there. Yeah, like the fact that they've been able to work with this offensive line, take all of these injuries, and still put out quality wins in a dominating fashion. I mean, I know Teddy Bridgewater went down, but Teddy Bridgewater, as you guys said, was not playing amazing before that happened. And so for them to go in and get a big win against a Denver team on the road, I mean, what else can't they do? I think that this is probably, for me, at least their second most impressive win, second only to that win against the Chiefs this season. So I think Baltimore is definitely a force to be reckoned with. You can't take them lightly. And now you don't know if they're going to hand it off or if they're going to pass for 300 yards on you, which I think makes this team definitely a competitor.
Yeah.
Christian Palmer here with Super Chat. What offense has Denver faced before the Ravens game?
They were all trash. All the teams, I'm not going to lie. Now, the one thing, even though I did pick them, me and my dad talked about it because my brother actually lives out in Denver. And he was like, you know, what do you think about Denver? And I'm like, Denver hasn't really played anybody. Like, this is going to be their first real test against Baltimore. So we'll see how legit they really are once they play this team.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, because we talked about this on Thursday's show, but they did not play a good schedule. But what they did to those three teams they played before, I think was the impressive part. Because this is the NFL, right? There really aren't cupcakes on your schedule. So,
exactly.
If you're shutting down and basically multiple shutouts, they allowed 14 points. I mean, it was what they were doing was just absurd.
Yeah, if you thought that the Ravens were going to come in here and throw for like 300 against the Broncos in Mile High, I want to know what the next week's lotto numbers are.
And last thing I will say here is two things.
I'll tell you.
Keith Williams and Martin, because the chat is mentioning them. They were the ones that got brought up to be passing coordinators and wide receiving coach. And I think it's rubbing on the guys. So shout out.
Oh, wait, is Greg Roman like shadow demoted? Because this kind of happened in Pittsburgh.
No.
He's like OC, but not really?
No. Greg Roman is the one calling the plays. He's calling all the plays.
He doesn't get to design them anymore. It's like you don't
No.
I mean,
point to the sheet. You just point to the sheet, whatever you want. Like they're all good plays. You can't go wrong.
So, oh my God, you have to take it there, right? Anyway, man, I had a second point and I just completely forgot. Q, go ahead, man.
T-Rail, baby.
Darrell Reeves right there. Shout out. But yeah, the Ravens are still really good. I think a lot of us jumped on the hot take with the injuries after they lost to the Raiders. Oh, man, the Ravens are going to be terrible this year. They're not going to be as good. They're going to be 500, whatever it was. Now, I still got Lamar. And Lamar was enough to get them through a couple of weeks here. And, maybe you're going to be able to get healthy and not really take that much of a penalty when it comes to losing games this year. And the Ravens are still going to be one of the best teams in football. They're always going to be one of the best teams in football. And, they have one of the best players in football. And right now, their wide receivers are cooking. And Rashad Bateman, who I think is probably technically their best wide receiver, if you just look at his route running ability and what he was doing in camp before that, he ain't even playing yet. And they out here cooking like that. Sammy Watkins, we were joking about him all season. LOL, your big addition was Sammy Watkins. Ha ha. That's funny. Another injury-prone guy. He's been healthy. He's been really good for the Ravens this year. Excellent for them. Marquise Brown. Look, nobody has taken a beating on this show quite like Marquise Brown. He's been Tyreek Hill. He's been Boo Boo Brown. Pookie Brown. He's had all kind of unflattering nicknames, but now he is Hollywood Marquise Brown. I'm gonna put some respect on Marquise's name and say it with no sarcasm intended. Marquise has been an excellent wide receiver. He has been really good. He's been exactly what Lamar needs. And when you can have Bateman out there, when you can have Watkins out there, and then you can have the threat of Marquise Brown over top, and you have Lamar Jackson in the run game to worry about, because apparently Ravens out to prove running backs don't matter, because they literally put 4 names in a hat, Yahtzeed them, and whatever names popped up, they just put on the roster, right? That's the only thing that explains why they put Tyson Williams there. So Ravens gonna be really hard to defend, almost impossible. I don't know how you do it, right? It was hard when they couldn't throw the ball that well. Now they got Mark Andrews. Now they have all these other pieces. Mark Andrews is kind of a what do you call it? A footnote to this offense right now, and he used to be the main squeeze in the receiving game there. So it's a tremendous turnaround. Look, everything went down for this Ravens team, but those wide receivers in this time stepped up big, and you have to give them credit for that because I didn't see that coming. Nobody else saw that coming other than Raven fans who never quit on their wide receivers. And I'll shout out to Raven fans. Y'all undying dedication to all of these mediocre wide receivers in the past has finally paid off. It has finally paid off. Hollywood Brown, y'all been riding that train for like 3 years. Y'all done jumped off of it, jumped back on it at different points. Now y'all back on it, and it look like it's going uphill. So shout out to y'all. And no, man, I saw that super chat.
Can we get that super chat up? We got a really interesting super chat that came in while she was talking.
No, don't go just because I'm out here. Just because I'm out here making amends with Hollywood Brown.
There's another one.
Hold on. There you go.
There it is. It's we're getting there little by little with you, right? Today it's Hollywood, tomorrow it's Cliff Kingsbury, and very soon.
See, look. If the list, Tony, if the list had started off well, if Allen Robinson would have went off for 55 yards against the Browns, you know what I mean? Then we might have something here. But Hollywood Brown wasn't really on that list of dudes. I've always thought Hollywood Brown was good, but not as good as people are saying. And nobody was overrating Hollywood Brown before this season started. So I really didn't have a beef with him. This was the year to overrate him. By the way, Raven fans, y'all missed out.
They jumped off the bus at the exact. They got all the new shiny toys. Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman.
Oh yeah, y'all could have baited me like hell in the offseason. Tyreek Hill, he's coming back, and I would have jumped on that and ate it, and y'all would have been laughing at me. But nope, y'all jumped off of it. So you know what? I'm with it. I'm Hollywood Brown fan too. I like five out there balling.
The last thing I will say before we go to the Steelers, the Ravens have played 3 road out of the 4 games. 3 road games out of the 4 games. So being 3-1 with 3 road games, I think that's also something to say about. Okay, a couple super chats here from K Fresh Harris. The Browns need to fix their weakness in the secondary on defense before Sundays against the Chargers. Fix it up a little bit, and we will.
They need to fix the weaknesses on the offense. That the defense, I don't know if they got that much to fix. Like the offense, I'm worried if they could put up points with the Chargers as they've currently been playing the last few weeks. That's the big question for them going into that week. The defense, hey, look, if you hold up against Justin Herbert, you hold up. If you don't, you don't. The defense have done enough to get you wins these last 2 weeks. The offense needs to step up and do something.
I want to jump on Thursday's show, but dude, this matchup between the Browns offense and Chargers defense is really, really interesting.
Yeah. Shirtless Myles Garrett hunts the dream of Duck Hodges.
Wrong guy. You got the wrong quarterback. Logan, you got the wrong quarterback. That wasn't Duck. Duck was out. Duck was too busy throwing touchdowns for Myles Garrett to swing a helmet.
Yeah, that was and that was Tony's one. Okay, Tony, tell me about the Steelers game, man.
The last couple of days I've been pondering a lot of life's unanswered questions, right? Why are we here? What happens when we die? Is there a God? And how the hell did the Steelers beat the Bills in week 1? What happened there? Because let me tell you, people, the Steelers are a straight up, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, bad football team. They're bad. The Steelers are a bad football team. Now, we talked last week about, hey, this is the game, though, where even if they are a bad football team, they'll come in and they'll make it tough on the Packers. They could even come out of here with a win. Both Q and I said last week, like, I predict them to cover. Q predicted them to win outright. And we both said, like, this is a very Steelers thing to happen, is you would lose a bad game to Cincinnati and then come back and look very good. And you know what? For a quarter, they did. But, when you age in life, you just can't. It's just not the same anymore. You can't do 60 minutes.
Enough bullets.
It's a long time. No, after the first quarter was very exciting to watch. And what I appreciate so much about the NFL is, once again, I didn't get to see the first quarter of this game because I had to watch Titans and Jets. So I actually didn't see any of the good parts of this game. They turned it on right as the Steelers turned back into a pumpkin.
Oh, you missed a touchdown to the
I did. Well, I mean, obviously I saw it on YouTube, but I did not see it live. I saw it on my Gamecast and I caught it on YouTube. Look, here's the problem for the Steelers right now. Let's just start at the top here, okay? With the thing everyone's going to talk about, the thing everyone should talk about. Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers are bad because Ben Roethlisberger is very bad. Very bad. And the thing about Ben is people say, well, who could be good behind this offense? Who amongst us could be good behind this offensive line? Well, here's the problem. This was the Steelers' offensive line's best day. I mean, they actually were not bad out there. They weren't great, but they weren't bad. And Ben Roethlisberger had his worst game of the season. I mean, there was nothing redeemable about what Ben Roethlisberger put on tape other than, again, that first drive, right? Look, Ben has all the problems of a 39-year-old quarterback. The arm is not strong. Or we talk about, Ben Roethlisberger, the arm strength. You can live with that with a 39-year-old quarterback because, look, we saw Drew Brees as not a strong arm quarterback last year. Did just fine. Phillip Rivers did just fine, right? Tom Brady's arm, even though it's not weak, it has certainly come off from his peak. This is not the problem for Ben Roethlisberger. The problem's not even that he's immobile, right? He is a mobile quarterback right now, but that's what happens when you turn 39. Again, that doesn't need to be an issue. The issue here for Ben Roethlisberger is that Ben Roethlisberger is locked in pre-snap, locked into where he's going pre-snap. And when that's not there, when defenses can fool him, you end up in situations like we're going to mock all these fourth down plays, right? But I think the fourth down plays are actually indicative of what's wrong with Ben Roethlisberger right now, because those are plays in which Ben is just completely misreading the defense. We've had 2 weeks in a row now where the Steelers have thrown short of the sticks to Najee Harris on a fourth down play, right? Why did he do that? Mike Tomlin and Matt Canada both said after these plays, we had guys pass the sticks. We had guys there. It's not like the play was designed to go there. Ben Roethlisberger read blitz. The blitz did not come. He checked it down anyway because he did not read post-snap, and the play is as embarrassing as they come. And the question I have right now is like, look, if the Steelers are going to play a quarterback who's 39 years of age, who does not have the strongest arm, is not mobile anymore, and also can't read defenses, well, that's not a good situation to be in. Okay, and then also the accuracy issues are. This was not a week. I talked about it week one. This is not a short-term problem. This is 4 weeks in a row now. Ben Roethlisberger just straight up not accurate. He missed some balls out there to Juju, to James Washington. I mean, there were just so many plays left on the field. The Steelers actually could have put up some decent points this game. They had their chances to move the football because the running game did get going. I know it's a low bar for this running game. Like, the running game did show some signs of life in this one, but it didn't matter because Ben Roethlisberger was missing dudes. This team, again, it just can't put things together. The offensive line also, I thought, was really showed some signs of life. I thought Kendrick Green played his best game of the year. That is a positive sign for Steelers fans if you're looking for positive things to take out of this loss. Kendrick Green was a player who I worried wouldn't have good games this year, because the real issue for Kendrick Green is when you're a smaller center with not as much length and guys can get up inside you don't have the kind of functional strength you need. You're just going to get bullied around. That happened to him for the first 3 weeks. Thought he played much better in this game. I think that was a positive sign because I thought it might take an offseason for him really bulking up before he turned into a quality center. So good to see, again, arrow pointing up for this offensive line, but Dotson played well as well. Defensively, what can you say? The defense is taking a step back. I mean, we talked about this. They're not elite anymore. We know that. I mean, this is just not an elite. This defense used to be a top 2, top 3 defense in 2019 and 2020. They've taken a step backwards. One thing I'll say about them, though, I don't know that they're really designed to be an elite defense. You look at how much has changed schematically for this team over the past couple of years. This is a team last year that blitzed 40% of the time. They've blitzed just 16% of the time this year. They're no longer bringing these exotic blitzes from different places. They're kind of relying on those 4 edge rush or those 4 players up front to get to the quarterback. And they're back to being a very zone heavy scheme. And I think that's because they don't really trust their corners right now in the more man heavy stuff they were running last year when they had guys like Mike Hilton and Steven Nelson. And that's just causing Pierre. James Pierre played well today. This is not a week to rag on my boy JP. But the problem here is, like, when you're not blitzing this much and you're running more zone, you're just going to cause less overall havoc. And we've talked about how much this team relies on turnovers. Well, they have 3 this year. I mean, they're on pace for like 13 this year. This is a team that had 30 2 years ago, 35 2 years ago, nearly 30 a year ago. This team, if they get 12 to 15 turnovers, is a massive jump. I think the defense can still be good. Again, I don't think this is a bad defense by any stretch. I thought the defense played well at times in this game. Tomlin talked about in this game, they were going to let the Packers run the ball, kind of that Brandon Staley type approach now, where teams are kind of, you take guys out of the box and play guys deep just to say, hey, we're gonna, as Tomlin said, we're gonna keep a lid on it. And look, Tomlin said, like, we did a good job of keeping the lid on it. Okay, maybe you did, Tomlin. Like, yes. There was no Henry Ruggs play in this game, which was the backbreaker against the Raiders. There was no Jamar Chase play in this game, which was backbreaker against the Bengals, right? Those were the big 50, 40-yard plays. The Packers had 6 plays of 20-plus yards in this game, though. So, we talk about keeping a lid on it. Like, yes, there were no big chunks in this game, quite a few medium chunks in this game. And I think that's the problem for the defense right now is that, when you're trying to scheme out the big plays, you're still giving up the medium stuff because the talent level on this defense has fallen from where it was at times. And then they're not getting off the field on third down. Again, if you're going to let a team run the football, well, you got to get off the field on third down. That's what the whole thing is designed to do. 9 of 15, the Packers were on third down. They did hold the Packers to some field goals in big moments. That's a third game now. We've seen this defense be able to do that. So maybe we can say this team is getting better in the red zone. You could do that.
Block field goal?
Speaking of field goals, speaking of field goals, though, we do need to talk about that block field goal. We absolutely need to talk about it because this is right up there. I mean, this is right up there with the Jesse play. This is the Jesse caught it play all over it. Jesse caught it 2.0. Now that play, the Jesse play, obviously more consequential. But I mean, the problem. Here's the problem I have with this play. And Tony Romo nailed it on the call. The reason why that referee threw the flag is because he saw 2 guys in the backfield on a field goal, and he said it had to be offside. They just had 2 guys in the backfield on a field goal. It has to be offside. There's no way they timed the snap perfectly.
The flag came late.
Exactly. The flag did come late.
The flag came after they scored.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and Gene Steratore, who now works for CBS, put out a whole tweet storm about this, saying how ridiculous that call was and how the officials need to be better. It was just a bad year for officiating overall. And this was a terrible call. I mean, this did change the game. Absolutely. This team it would have been 17-14 halftime. It ends up being, 17-10 halftime in favor of the Packers. I guess the issue for me, when I really think about it, like it did change the game, but did it change the outcome of the game? I don't know that it did. I mean, I think, look, this team is only going to go as far as Ben is going to take them. And let's be honest, the way Ben Roethlisberger is playing right now, that's not going to be very far. Now, I know there's a lot of Steelers fans that all hope is lost, and what's the point of watching and bench Ben Roethlisberger and blah blah blah. Look, they're not going to bench Ben, but I think there are some silver linings for this team going forward. Yes, this team has to replace Ben Roethlisberger. They're going to have to do that in the 2022 offseason. It's likely not going to be Mason, and it's probably not going to be Dwayne Haskins. But this is behind Ben Roethlisberger, right behind the facade of the 39-year-old quarterback leading this team. This is a very, very young roster. Over 1,000 snaps so far, second most in the league of all rookies. So this is a team behind them that does have some guys to build on. Najee Harris, Chase Claypool, Pratt Freiermuth, that entire offensive line, right? These are all first and second year players. Defensively, Devin Bush, Alex Highsmith, Trey Norwood, and yes, Sonny, my boy James Pierre, right? These are all reasons I think for Steeler fans. Look, this team is not going to go very far. There's no way Tomlin has done some miracles in his day. If you still believe this Steeler team can put together some sort of run at the end of the season to miracle their way to 9-8 or some sort of late playoff
Tomlin
push.
On the hot seat?
No, there's no way Tomlin's on the hot seat. He just got an extension. He just got an extension. I think at this point,
I don't know. Finishing last place and the Browns and Bengals finishing first and second or something like that. That'll get
as a gambling man, whatever you guys want to put on that, I will take whatever you want. Tomlin is absolutely not getting fired. They could go 1-15 this year, 1-16. There's no way he gets fired. But I think to finish my point here, I think the focus here for Steeler fans the rest of the year, you got to just focus on the young players. I mean, I think this team's not going far with Ben. Ben's not going to get benched. All this talk about they need to bench Ben. Ben Roethlisberger's not getting benched. They're going to live with the 39-year-old Ben. Hopefully he can put up another Ben performance one time this year and we get to see vintage Ben. But otherwise, it's all about developing the youth behind this team so that 2022 doesn't have to be like a empty cupboard style, clean house and start over rebuild.
Let me do some super chat real quick, Q, and I'll throw it to you. Robert Jackson here. Steelers, the new Browns. Trust. And then electric Terran, could Ben have early CTE because I can't understand.
Just old, bro.
No comment.
Hold on, because I lost. Mark Kahn says, Sonny, do you think if Lamar continues to ball, do they do his contract this year? Neither side seems either worried or pressing for it. I think that means they're probably close. They're probably just iron some details. The Ravens.
He doesn't have an agent. He's doing this himself.
Yeah,
he doesn't have an agent. This ain't his rookie deal. He needs to get an agent.
So they can't do it during the year. I mean, if Lamar Jackson is negotiating a contract, during the season,
he has the agent is his mom. To be fair, but I think at this point they're probably close, but during the season, the Ravens usually don't do new deals during the season, but it could happen. But I don't think it's to this performance. I think the Ravens at this point know what they have on Lamar Jackson. Tim Owen says,
his mama?
Yeah. Since Since going 11-0, the Steelers are 2-8. Old, bald, Ben better retire before playing.
You know what's funny about the super chat?
Meyer.
You know what's funny about the super chat? I looked at it and I was like, who's the second win? Like, yeah, they beat Indy. Who else did they? Oh, right. The Buffalo game. The mystery of all mysteries.
Q, go ahead, man.
Yeah, the Steelers, the big headline underneath the Steelers season right now is there ain't enough bullets in that pea shooter right now. It really just ain't enough. The offense is nowhere near good enough. The defense is good, but they're not carry a really struggling deep offensive unit good right now. They're not going to do that, not against good teams. So you're getting the result that you're getting. Ben Roethlisberger, like, it's one thing to be really bad. It's another thing to turn the ball over twice, and he continues, knowing he's going to get hit, still deciding to be as reckless as possible with the football in his hand, whether it be how he takes sacks or where he throws the football to. I don't know what else the story could be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The offense is awful right now, and it's not, Najee Harris's fault. It's not Deontay Johnson's fault. It's not Chase Claypool's fault. The only offensive highlight that the Steelers had in this game was the one clip where Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers out there making googly eyes at each other on the sidelines. That's the only ray of hope that offense has. Other than that, you got Juju Smith-Schuster yelling on the sideline. That's a Ben problem. Throwing his tablet
that's not
on
what
the
he
ground.
said, though. There's no way that's what he said. I mean, maybe that's, look, here's what Sonny, when you sent that, it's like, okay, there's no way that's actually what Juju said, because why would he use those words, right? Why would he be speaking like meta about the offense on the sideline when he could just say like Ben is the problem, right? Like, it's a Ben problem is what we say on this show when we're talking like about the meta of the Steelers.
I don't know. Juju
but
be on the internet. He might talk like that.
Juju regretting passing on playing for Pat Mahomes and playing with Ben?
Oh yeah, that is what. See, that is what he was saying. That's actually what's going through his mind, which is like, I chose to play here instead of with Patrick Mahomes. What am I thinking?
Or the Ravens. I'm just saying. Go ahead, Q.
Yeah, he would be balling with the Ravens right now. I mean, but yeah, it's a rough go with the offense. It's Ben Roethlisberger's a sinkhole in that offense, and I get you're not going bench Ben because it's the Steelers and it's an honorable thing to do, but after you bench him, you might just have 10 years to get that relationship on sealed, because this can't continue, right? Like, he can't continue to be a sinkhole in this offense and continue to operate like this, because he's clearly the problem with the offense. And I don't know if benching him fixes it, but it gets rid of an issue, which is Ben just, not doing his plan, not even following the game plan. At least you put Mason Rudolph in there. He's not going to check it down on 4th and 10 multiple times, so maybe you do that there. But even if you're Pittsburgh, do you even want to win that extra couple of games? You might win if you get better quarterback play. Yeah. Like, I don't even know.
The fan base. Yeah, the fan base who wants to bench Ben and move on. It's like, all right, well, the easiest way to move on is like, let Ben play. This team's probably going to lose a lot of games. And then, I know this is a bad quarterback class, but the last time they said it was a bad quarterback class was 2017, and I believe we got Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson out of that class. So, like, we'll see. The NFL is bad at evaluating quarterbacks.
Watson in that, though. Like, Deshaun Watson, people just didn't believe him because they were like, he has no tools. It wasn't because he wasn't good at quarterback. There's nobody in college football right now that's going to be eligible for this draft that is legitimately like good at quarterback right now if you throw them out there, even at the college level. It's a lot of dudes you're projecting, and like, I don't know who has the best track record out of all of them. Is it Sam Howell or is it Spencer Rattler?
Right now it's Malik Willis.
Yeah, dude, I'm not trusting anything coming out of but no, it's rough right now for the Steelers offense. The defense, they're going to be a good defense. It's just you can only do so much if you're not going to get any help unless you're like the best defense in the NFL. So, it is what it is. I have this weird non-able to let this Steeler thing die just because every time I do, they come back.
It's the last year.
Yeah, so I am hesitant to put them in the dirt, but hey, it looks like for whom the bell tolls right now. It looks like a wrap.
Give me the shovel. I'll do it.
Yep.
Just give me the shovel. I'll do it.
Give me the shovel.
You don't have to.
Ace will hand you the shovel.
I put the
Ace
shovel in them.
Ace will hand you the shovel. I have nothing to do with that.
Don't worry about it.
I
You
ain't got a
this.
single thing to do with this.
It's not gonna
Because it's like Sonny's chain. I don't know. Baker throw 3 interceptions next week. I might have to just put the Steelers in the dirt to rub just to get something to shake loose when it comes to bad luck. It's just like Sonny's chain was. But
although you did say something, Q. You did say something earlier in the show. You were like, I think Baker's just going to get more accurate over time. Like he'll just he'll come out of this. So maybe Ben will too. Who knows? I mean, listen, I don't think so. But hey, if you can just magically get more accurate over time,
well, that's the thing though with Baker. He's actually that's the thing though. There's a pattern with Baker Mayfield that's kind of starting to be established where he was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play 2 terrible games, and then like this Cincinnati game. Like I know we joke about how bad the Cincinnati secondary was, but some of the footballs he threw in there were some of the most accurate footballs I've seen him ever throw. So it was just like it would be
that's
like
why I think he's hurt. That's why I think he's hurt right now. He's hurt right now.
I think he can't be hurt, dude. There's no way he's hurt right now. I don't buy that he's hurt. They say he looks good in practice. Like
I watched the throws on Sunday. That
they
doesn't
schemed
look like the Baker Mayfield I know.
Bro,
you didn't just
Kevin Stefanski
overnight.
Kevin Stefanski schemed up 22 passes in the first half. I'm like, how do you do that if you think he's hurt?
Walk it off, right? Throw it off. He's like, hey, listen, you just gotta throw it off, baby.
I don't know, man. Put some icy hot or some shit on that. I don't know what he got going on, but it is whatever it is. It'll be real convenient to say he's hurt if he plays well next week or in a couple of weeks. See, he just needed a few weeks or whatever.
He's trying to pull a Ben. You say you're hurt when you're not playing good.
He trying to get back on them talk shows so he can have a narrative. He gonna put out a
injury. They just look bad. You don't understand why, and then they find out later, like, oh, they're hurt.
You're gonna find out I had 3 broke ribs, a cracked sternum.
Listen, when we find out that like
torn rotator
Baker needs to have like major shoulder surgery after the season, like I won't.
Something's going on. We'll figure it out. Hopefully, he'll be better by the end of the year.
So let me go.
Jacob.
2 super chats here real quick. Jacob Bell says, as a Bengals fan, you got to respect Big Ben's career. Battled through so many injuries and won so big game. Hope he gets a well-deserved sense.
Listen, and you have to respect this because he's also a doctor. There's a lot of self-diagnosed injuries here for Ben Roethlisberger as well, which you have to respect.
I mean,
you gotta, like the one thing, even as a Steeler fan, like the one thing I'll say about Ben's career is like, no, you don't have to respect him for playing through injury. Okay, I mean the guy, he got called out by Hines Ward one time because Ben said he had a concussion, and then he said, oh my, I'm having headaches again, so they had to take him out. They took him out. They wouldn't let him play. And Hines called him out and said, why are you telling? Even if you did, I don't think Hines actually believed he had headaches, but he said even if you did have headaches, it's like just play through it, man. That's the NFL. So even his own teammates at times have called him out for the BS injury stuff.
Yeah. Ben Roethlisberger, the type of dude, the stub his toe against the carpet and text somebody. I think I might have broke my toe.
Yeah. At least turf toe. It's at least turf toe.
Oh yeah, man. I'm hurt. I gotta get crutches. Like Ben will get crutches for anything, man. Ben. I'm surprised Ben hasn't had that moment, the Paul Pierce moment, where he gets carried off the field dramatically just so he can come back.
No. You're talking about a guy pooping his pants. That you're thinking of Lamar.
No. The
Lamar
Bengals playoff game where he went off like he was done and then came back.
And then Landry threw that pick, and Ben's like, all right, I won't. You know what?
No. The ridiculousness of that game was Ben sat there the entire game and watched the Steelers look like butt, and they were about to throw that, like they were legit about to lose that game. It was a lost game at that point. And then he gets 2 minutes left, and he goes, "Oh, I can't let you have this one, Landry. It's on me."
Even worse than that, they play up the whole injury all week. We're not sure if Ben can play. We're just not sure. Oh, we know. This was the divisional playoff game against Peyton Manning and the Broncos that year. Like, we're just not sure, man. We're just not sure. He's gonna fight. We're gonna hope. We're hoping. You know what he played? You know what the first play they ran from scrimmage that day was? It was a bomb, an absolute bomb that Ben threw to Martavis Bryant. Oh, his shoulder was so hurt. First play from scrimmage, bomb. It's like, don't give me this crap. I don't want to hear about Ben Roethlisberger and his injuries. I'm sorry. I love Ben. Ben is my quarterback. I'll always be my quarterback, right behind Duck. But don't give me the injury crap.
Behind Duck. Christian Palmer.
We went so long today. I'm missing Duck. It's a 2.5-hour podcast. We got to be shorter. I am literally missing Doug Hodges right now.
Let me go with Super Chat so Ace can take his take. Christian Palmer says, based off previous experience, our Steelers fan already started researching college QBs for 2022. I believe they have.
Yeah, I know who Malik Willis is. If that tells you anything.
Look, the
We
only
out here getting Steelers fans out here getting ESPN Plus to watch Liberty play.
the only thing I will say about the Steelers, not even about this game, is it was odd. Ace mentioned this in the offseason. I mentioned this in the offseason. I think Q mentioned it as well. The only thing that was odd to me when they said we're going to bring back Ben to run it one more time, well, they didn't get better on defense and they didn't get better in the O-line. And that for me was odd because if you were going all in because you think let's do one last, I would have thought like let's just blow everything up. Let's put all the resources we need because this is gonna be it. And the Steelers really didn't do that. It was more like, well, this is gonna be the last run of Big Ben's goodbye party as we research for a QB next year. Ace, take it over, man.
If only there was a guy that warned you guys about the 39-year-old Ben Roethlisberger and Father Time. I tried to be that guy. I tried to tell you guys that, Ben at this point is just on the downside of his career. And I felt like the Steelers were playing with fire just because you never know when one of these guys is going to fall off the cliff. You saw it with Eli Manning. You even saw it with Peyton Manning, right? That last year with the Denver Broncos. And this is a talented team. Like when we talk about Najee Harris, we talk about Deontay Johnson, we talk about Juju Smith-Schuster, all of those weapons. If you insert in the right quarterback, this team is probably better than what their record indicates right now. But it's pretty obvious that Ben just doesn't have it anymore. The one thing that I will say, though, is I was impressed with how competitive they were in this game. They did keep it close for a certain point in time. It did get interesting. As we said, the field goal, the blocked field goal, whatever that was, that could have turned some momentum in that game. But they didn't just crawl up into the fetal position and just give up in this game. And I think that was something that at least impressed me and reminded me of at least the Steelers, right? Not giving up or anything like that. But when you look at the outside aspect of this game, I think one of the guys that I mentioned in the Bengals win that was severely missed, I think was Deontay Johnson. I think that chemistry that he has with Ben was obviously much missed in that Bengals matchup, and they got back on the same page with him getting him back from injury in this game. So Deontay Johnson played pretty well. Najee Harris, I think he's a good player. The only thing that concerns me is they have not been able to establish this run game, I think, whatsoever. It gets a little bit better this week with him getting the 4.1 yards per carry, gets his first rushing touchdown, but they haven't kind of really established it to the point where they're consistently getting at least, close to 100 yards a game consistently. And, I thought that was going to be a hard ask for them as well, because they went from this team that, passed the ball so much. How would they be able to switch it up and adjust to being a team that could run the ball? I do think Najee Harris is extremely, talented. They're involving him in that wide receiver game or the receiving game as well, a la Le'Veon Bell. Now, he's not Le'Veon Bell in that retrospect because Le'Veon Bell was out there going crazy with routes and stuff like that. But I think that they have something there. But the other thing is the defense, and I'm going to give them a break on this one. Whenever you're going against Aaron Rodgers or one of these good quarterbacks, that's just a tall order for any defense to kind of slow those guys down. I think they did a decent job, especially against Devontae Adams. I think that they did a good job as far as holding him in check. But outside of that, they did kind of let some of those other weapons in Green Bay do some things. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Stephon Tuitt gets back. Can they remaster and reclaim that defensive prowess that we had for them? Because I think on paper or going into the season, we felt like this was a top 5 defense, right? So maybe they can bring that back once some of those guys get healthy. But as I said in my video, I kind of just knew, Green Bay is kind of, these teams are at this point heading in the opposite direction. And I think right now that was just going to be the biggest stretch for them, was to be able to beat the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers and those guys was going to be a tall order for them to have. And so, this is going to be a tough thing. This is where they're going to have to start to answer some questions. Like Tony said, I don't think that they're going to bench Ben immediately. But if you get to the point where it's like mathematically you're out of contention, you do have to start thinking about or considering, are we going to tank to get one of these top picks? Because if you do get the first round pick or the first pick in the draft, obviously that's always coveted. But you don't want to, in a sense, screw yourself out of one of these top quarterbacks. But as we saw and Quincy talked about, maybe there is something going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And so I think that could be something there. There may be some smoke there. Well, we will see. We will see. But I wasn't truly surprised with this game. I've been surprised definitely for sure with some of the things that I've seen from the Steelers this season, but this wasn't one of them. And we'll see how they handle the rest of the season.
That nod from Rodgers to Tomlin on the that may be the Steelers fans like that. That's like the peak Steelers fans. I'd say that is the best.
Crazy.
That's like equivalent to like LeBron pulling somebody over that he's going to recruit the next year and like having the little talks and stuff to him. It was in that territory.
And that note, guys, in that note, we did a 2.5 hour pod. 2.5 hour pod just for you guys. Super chats for Lid. Remember, also derail the Meyer.
Wait, when? I don't want to. I'm not extending the show.
Tomlin was just like, "Ben is washed. We need you next year."
Hey, you want to come here? We need we need that pistol. We need more bullets in this pistol. We need to play. We need to get it in here. All right.
We need that 12 gauge.
That's right.
Hey, you gonna look better at 41 than Ben do, right?
Gonna make the quarterback rankings on next year's next offseason going to be very interesting.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, guys,
You're gonna go from the 2004 draft to the 2005 draft. I think that's
there you go. That 1 year though. That 1 year. Make sure you subscribe to
all the difference. Listen, 30, 38, young. 39, oh my God, old and busted. Get him on. Get him on.
I mean, wouldn't he be 39 by the time he would play?
You know what I'm saying? Did you not hear what I said?
He's a young 39.
A young 38.
Yes, he said that. He said right. He said for 3 years.
Yeah. Listen, let's go. Let's go, baby.
Anyway, if you're watching the replay, make sure you comment. Give us your review of the game.
Jersey number.
And 12. You want 7? You can take 7.
And remember,
that may be a real sticking point. They don't give out 12 because 12 was Terry Bradshaw. So that actually.
Ooh. Bradshaw will bless it. Bradshaw will bless it. He will bless
Bradshaw don't even. Have you ever watched Fox's pregame? Have you ever watched Fox's pregame? Terry Bradshaw has no idea what's going on.
Bradshaw feels like the Steelers did him wrong at the end, and I'm sure the Steelers don't want to do the same thing with Ben. That's why Ben's never getting benched. Maybe they'll make up some injury excuse, but like straight up benching, no, never gonna happen.
Never. Okay. Anyway, next week coming back Thursday. Make sure you hit the bell so you know when we come live. Okay. And hey, we'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.
Have you ever? Are you listening? Damn.